Okay, so let's get cracking at last with chatting about this week's Coronation Street. Gemma, I've told you about this in advance, but I have got something a little bit special to share with you to kick off today's Street Talk. I was inspired by another podcast I listened to, a Nintendo one, of course, what else, where, just I think it was last week's episode, they did this for the first time. They found a load of clickbait articles about Nintendo, read out the headlines, and then the other people on the other hosts, the co-hosts on the podcast, had to guess what the article was about. And Nintendo gets its clickbait articles, but so do soaps. So I have found a load of clickbait articles from this week about mostly stuff that have happened this week on Coronation Street, but one thing is about something that's happened off screen. And you can play along as well, listeners, if you want to. Gemma has to guess what this is referring to. Okay. And this may be able to inspire a few little talking points as well. So are you ready to play this game? Yeah. To find the baitier stuff? Right, okay. So this is first one. I'm kicking off with Digital Spy. Maybe an easy one. The headline is, Corrie explains legend's absence in Fire Story.
Audrey.
What's that about? No.
Audrey didn't turn up.
No. Someone else.
David the dog.
No. Do you remember? They did explain about somebody else not being there.
Who wasn't there? I don't know.
It's Gail.
Well, of course she wasn't there.
Well, no, but they said they talked. They had the characters talking about we're not going to tell her about it, didn't they?
Oh, well, that's silly.
And yeah, so
what's a clickbait?
So clickbaity. Who's the legend? Yeah, okay. Right. So next one, I got this from this comes from the Metro. Coronation Street revisits forgotten relationship, and it's very moving.
Oh, what is that?
Forgotten relationship revisited this week. In fact, I didn't actually open this article, so I'm just kind of guessing myself.
This is on the tip of my brain because I know that something happened. Mm-hmm. I know that somebody talked about something. We were like, oh yeah, they remembered about that. Oh, I don't remember.
Well, I think that as I said, I didn't open this article actually. I assumed it was about Ardy and Amy.
Well, you don't know, do you?
I don't actually know about this one, so maybe we need to find this one out. Sorry, this is terrible quizzing as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you criticise my quiz
just because I get myself.
Questions wrong.
Right. This is from the Metro. Coronation Street fans are all saying the same thing about the fire. There's no way.
There's no way she teleported through that wall.
Yes, that was a Shona article. That was all about how Shona seemed to teleport through the back door of the Platts into the garden. That was definitely a big talking point online. I think that throughout the whole of the fire discussion, the whole discourse about it online, the thing that came up the most was how did Shona get out of the house? Kind of what happened there. What was your kind of take on that scene?
Oh, we can't not talk about that now.
Oh, we can do.
No, we talk about that one.
Oh, fine. Oh, spoil sport. Okay, next one. This is from the Manchester Evening News. Coronation Street fans spot Nick Tilsley blunder as he rescues Toya Habib from burning Platt family home. What's that talking about?
What, him just staring at her for a bit?
No.
Him not doing CPR properly?
No.
Him picking up bits of broken glass?
No. The blunder was him sending Max and Shona upstairs.
I was just about to say that.
Oh, sorry, I jumped in too quickly. Yeah, sending them upstairs when actually that's probably not the safest advice to give.
He's like, go on, Max, go upstairs. I'm not moving till you go.
Okay, next one. Plymouth Live, this article is right. Are we enjoying this, listeners? Is this funny? Playing along with this at home?
Okay.
Plymouth Live. Coronation Street fans work out Sarah's new Cobble's boyfriend, and it's not who you think. This is possibly the most clickbaity one of them all. Coronation Street fans work out Sarah's new Cobble's boyfriend, and it's not who you think. Who are they talking about?
That makes no sense.
This is about something that happened this week on Coronation Street.
This would have me. All of these I'd be clicking on, going, "What does this mean?"
Exactly. Did the job, didn't it? You get Kit. One. No. You get one. It's Todd. The article was suggesting that maybe Sarah was going to rekindle romance with Todd because they had some scenes talking together this week and they were remembering their dead baby Billy.
So Plymouth Live doesn't watch Coronation Street?
Well, I think it knows. I think it just picked up a tweet or something and then ran with it.
These
That's
are
what
all
these
just
are all
like
about,
somebody did a tweet.
Basically, right. Yeah. Derbyshire Live next. Okay. We just got two more to go. Corrie Star.
Is this Eileen Derbyshire's website?
Yeah, probably. She's still watching it.
She just writes
She's articles. A massive clickbaiter, Eileen Derbyshire. Corrie Star flooded with support as they say, it's definitely happening. Who could it be? This is an off-screen. Which Corrie Star
two people getting together
has said it's definitely happening this week? And they were flooded with support.
Oh no, I don't know.
What's been going on in the world of Corrie stars?
They've won an award.
No, it's not. Wasn't to do with that. Good guess though. Good guess.
Somebody's going to be on a TV show.
No.
Somebody's leaving the show.
No.
Somebody is having a baby.
No.
Getting married.
No.
Getting divorced.
No.
Dying.
No. Do you want me to tell you?
Give me a clue.
Clue is that somebody we know told us that they saw this thing that was definitely happening this week. They went to see it on a special trip.
What, Daniel Bucklebank in a play?
Yes, Daniel Bucklebank in a play was definitely happening this week.
This is so silly.
I know, it's so funny, isn't it? The power of the clickbait.
I could write these.
Exactly. Final one.
Right,
then,
so Daniel Bucklebank is in. What's he in?
I can't remember. Figaro.
Yeah.
Yes, he was in it this week.
And the Corrie team went to the Broadcast Awards. They won.
Don't spoil the news, Gemma. I haven't got a whole lot of news this week because we did that main thing last couple of days ago.
Georgia Taylor and Jane Danson.
Georgia Taylor, Jane Danson and Kate Ford went to go and see him, didn't they? Yeah. So, last one. Tottenham Independent. Coronation Street fans slam ITV bosses for overdone trick on budget cut show.
Is this trick gonna be not really setting people on fire?
Kind of, yeah, kind of fake CG fire kind of thing.
Fire?
Yeah.
Why can't you set Bette Lynch's night dress aflame again?
I know, for reals. And there we go. That was the end of our game.
That was quite fun.
I thought you quite liked this.
Yeah.
I know that we were already
Maybe
fairly
we should
late.
have this instead of the quiz.
Oh, we could
the quiz
do.
is boring now. Everyone hates it. It's boring.
Would you? Yeah, but I don't want to. Do you want to be the person that finds the clickbait?
Yes.
But I don't want you to find other spoilers by doing it.
No, because it's all about what happened. People moaning.
Anyway,
this section is called "What did people moan about on Twitter this week?"
On the podcast that I listened to, they did have another name for this particular segment, but I'm not allowed to say it because it's just far too rude. It's people that are particularly good at baiting. So I'll let you work that bit out yourself. Right, so. Finally, half an hour into this podcast, or a bit less, I suppose, if you listen to it on YouTube, we can get onto our thoughts about what happened in this week's Coronation Street. The main bulk of this discussion is clearly...
You've written a rude phrase.
Do you want to read the titles out this week?
Yeah.
Go on then.
This is one of my favourite Britney Spears songs.
Well, that's the second story.
I know.
You're just getting ahead of yourself. If you seek
I'm allowed to read things.
Yeah.
If you seek Amy.
Because Amy was missing this week, but she was
Brilliant
back.
Song.
But no, we're going to start off with the max temperature. I tried my best to think of something funny for the Platts family fire, but that's the best that I could come up with.
I like that. Do you think they were saying that all the way through when they were filming it?
Probably. And finally, I pinched this from somebody who emailed us last week, and they had this as their title for the header for the email: Carla's kidney kerfuffle. Quite like that.
If I was Lisa, I'd call her my little kidney pudding. Or is that insensitive?
Oh, I don't know. Right, so how are we going to do it? We're going to do a day each for the fire.
All right,
because this is probably about 90% of what we'll be chatting about this week. Do you want to just kind of give us an overall impression? You said you quite liked the fire this week. You went into this week with high expectations and they were matched, or?
Okay, so when we watched all the previous fires, because there was hours of it for the bonus episode, I think that in general, I don't think this was a very great fire. Okay, but when I watched it, I just really appreciated them doing something different, and I think I said this on the bonus episode. I appreciated the fact that they did something different with this. That the Matt Hilton, he did. It wasn't a single take, but it was like a single take shot. Tracking shot, following people around the fire. And because of that, I think there were a few compromises that had to be made to accommodate that filming. And I think one of them was how long Nick lingered over Toya, because that felt very weird. Like, he just kind of knelt down and looked at her for quite a while, like he was contemplating whether to just let her die so they could get back with Leanne.
Yeah.
And then I just think that there was not enough smoke at all. When you look at other fires, there was real smoke in a lot of them. I think maybe they were going to put CGI smoke in and they didn't because it looked crap, or I just don't know what happened, because it was just You said, "Oh no, it is smoky." It isn't though. If you watch if you go back and watch any fire, pretty much, not recent ones, but like proper when they used to set actors on fire and stuff, the good old days, you will see that there's smoke. And if you watch any fire, there's always loads of smoke, especially in a front room where you've got all the sofa and the curtains
soft
and everything.
furnishings ablaze.
So I think a lot of it would have made more sense if there'd been more smoke because Nick's kneeling down and not doing anything.
Well, they came in and they were coughing a lot, weren't they? So maybe there was just implied smoke.
It didn't work because you could see too much of what was going on. And then obviously the thing that everyone hates, Shona going through the door. I did hate that as well.
It was obviously done to service the continuation of the tracking shot, wasn't it?
It didn't work. I know what they were trying to do. It just felt really clumsy. It looked weird. It did look like she was magicking somewhere else, and the sound effect didn't really help. I'm also watching a TV show at the moment where people can teleport from place to place, so it did feel like a bit like it was a crossover episode with that. That was a real shame, actually, and the confusion with the door. I think that people would have let that go if we hadn't had the teleportation, because what happened was and also I don't know what Nick closed the door behind him for some reason. So Nick
I don't think he did. I think I think it just the wind. I think.
Well, the door was closed, and then it makes logical sense that it expanded in the heat and they couldn't open it again. Then she teleports through it, and then it gets closed again, and then something falls in front of it, and that's why Max can't get out. Well, and that makes sense, but it wasn't obvious from. I only picked that up when I watched it the second time.
The teleporting through it, it clearly wasn't. I mean, you see behind her, and then it gets incredibly smoky, and then it kind of the colour goes like light, smoke. as if there's the light is streaming in from the moon. Let me just
say one quick thing, which is unfortunately they used a similar effect when Mason died, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
Which is the same effect of like a white smoky light.
Yeah. I didn't particularly hugely bothered.
Maybe if it had been dark and not light, it would have. But I mean, you're being very critical. Where did the light come from?
The moon. It's probably a full moon or something over Weatherfield. But you're being very critical because I thought your overall impression of the episode, the stunt, the whole shebang was that you quite liked it.
I did still really like it, and but I agree with some of the criticism. I also think that when I first had a lot of the complaints, one of the ones I thought was a bit, oh, come on, was, there's not enough people in the street. Because I was thinking, there are quite a few people and more people do turn up. But then when you watch the older ones, you're like, yeah, everyone was outside. Everyone was looking and gawping. And there were crowds of people. There were extras. They didn't even have any extras.
I don't think they did. You obviously had the main Platt families gathering, didn't you? Then you had Yasmin and Brian turned up on Tuesday's episode. Yeah. Kit runs down the road because they needed someone who knew how to do
Logan
CPR. But it did seem
you wouldn't think
a little bit empty if you compare to the last ones. I mean, we don't really have much in the way of curtain twitchers in the same way as we would with Norris before. No, of course.
When you wouldn't think that there was a restaurant and a pub at either end of that street. Judging by the number of people that bothered to come out.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the middle of the night. Children were still awake.
Yeah.
They just had a séance.
Yeah. I know what you mean. But look, I enjoyed it on the whole, but I can't deny that I was slightly let down. I don't want to start this as being a bit of a bummer, but maybe getting it out of the way first is the best thing, and then we can chat more happily about it afterwards. But I kind of went into Monday's episode kind of really excited. We had our friend Rach around. I said, Rach, you picked a good day to come. This is going to be a big episode. And I was so kind of ready for the fire to happen really early on in the episode. But it didn't. It was literally the final... Well, the long tracking shot was, I'm going to say, the final 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
And I was ready for a good half of the episode to be fire drama. But if they were... they'd chosen to go down the route of having it as a tracking shot, that clearly couldn't have happened going over 15-20 minutes or so, never mind the fact that there'd been ad breaks. So I was just spending Monday's episode going, where's the fire?
Set fire to the Platt house.
Come on, where's the fire? And we had to kind of sit through a bit of the Amy story, which wasn't necessarily needed then. You had Sarah and a bizarre birthday party. And then when the fire finally happened, I just found that I found all of the editing too distracting. Especially all the whooshing around that they did. It was so clever. It was really, really clever. And I love it when they go from like outside to inside, because obviously, you know, you're going from the street lot to the inside of the set. It's so clever.
It was clever, and it was,
but it was too distracting. It was too clever for its own good.
Because it made it too complicated, and I think perhaps too much focus was on that.
And whenever there's a tracking shot, you just spend half the time thinking, ooh, where's there going to be a join? Let me see the join. There's going to be a join somewhere. And then you did. And there was also the fact that a lot of the fire was computer generated, and some people said that they didn't know. You said you didn't notice it.
I watched it again. I was like, I don't get.
We had someone post on our Facebook group saying, "Oh, it was fine with me," but it was just too distracting for me. How CGI it looked, and even like the embers, and the embers were
distracting. There's never been embers on Corrie before.
No, I don't think there have. Not in the same way, but they're all kind of flickering through the air. And, I don't know. I've never been in a fire like that. Is that what it's really like?
I think it would happen.
But because I was like thinking, I wonder how they put those on, it just took me away a little bit from the drama. And I left the episode after 5 minutes of action going, is that it? And then we had a little bit more of it on the Tuesday episode, didn't we? And actually, I think I enjoyed the Tuesday scenes in the fire a lot more, because you had the whole room was ablaze there, and it was a fireman going in and rescuing Max, and that for me was a lot more effective, partly I think because I wasn't being distracted by the tracking shot. So it was a real, I'm not going to say it was a swing and a miss, but I have read a lot of people criticising it online, but some people have been saying it's been great as well, so I'm really glad that it's worked for some people, and it did not work for me. I was just built myself up for it to be a little bigger than it was.
I didn't build myself up thinking it was going to be all the episode. I kind of did expect it to happen in the end, so I wasn't disappointed from that.
Okay.
And all I would say is that I want them to do things that maybe don't always work. I want them to try new things, and not everyone agrees with me. Definitely, I know that a lot of people say, Coronation Street's not the place for experiments. I do think it is, and I think that if you watch from, like I keep saying, from the very beginning, it was always a bit imaginative and experimental in a very limited way.
Well, compared to now, it is literally every episode.
No, but no,
listen,
funny
I'm editing
talking about the direction, and I really, really appreciated them doing something different, because like I said, I did watch probably 3 or 4 hours of Coronation Street fires over the past, during this week, and I'll say that this one stuck out because of what they did that was different. And how memorable would it have been? How memorable would it have been if, in 5 years' time, if we were going to do a fire episode? I don't think it would have been without that gimmick.
It's certainly going to stick in people's minds.
I like them to try new things and do something different and make because there's only so many ways you can set things on fire. So and fire is a lot more common on Corrie than we really think. I mean, I can't remember. We didn't actually count how many fires because we knew we weren't doing an exhaustive tally of every single fire that's ever been, and we know that somebody came. Jonathan pointed out we missed one at least. So who knows how many others that we didn't do? But there have been easily like 20-30 fires. The show's been on for 65 years. There's been a fire every 3 years on average. There's been a lot more recently, I'll just tell you that, mostly due to Hope. But you've got to do something to distinguish them all. And okay, maybe the fact that it was the Platt House was enough of a distinguishing thing, you might argue, but eventually we're going to get to a stage in Corrie where every single place has been on fire at least once. There's places that have been on fire multiple times. I'm just glad they did something different. I enjoyed the artistry of it, even if I thought the execution maybe faltered a little bit at times.
On the subject of the direction, I still definitely appreciated, as I always do whenever it's a Mount Hilton slot, the bizarro camera angles that were used. And it wasn't him at his most kind of dangle from the chandelier, but there were a few where he was the camera was positioned like crouched down in an alley, and it was looking up at Kevin in the garage. And there was another good one where it was down, maybe must have been down the bottom of the door of number 13, kind of looking upwards through the flowers, where they had it was a Kit picking the flowers, and then you could see up on the viaduct. That's always interesting to me, to see how he's going to frame his shots, and it didn't disappoint.
And I know it was a grueling shoot. You know, they were all very cold and they worked really hard. And I give them props, because doing those takes, even though it wasn't one long take, must have been really stressful, because whenever you involve a large group of characters, maybe this was one of the reasons why they didn't have lots of people, you know, gawping, because you've got to remember everyone was, and it gets, tracking shots like that get way more complicated the more people you add. Yeah. So maybe. I mean,
should we run down
what happened?
What actually happened?
How's Caught on Fire next?
It kind of was, wasn't it? So you got a few mysteries set up this week, and although I'm saying this is the fire story, there is an awful lot of other stuff, like what's going on with Leanne, what's going on with Abby, because they all turn out to be suspects in the end as the arsonists. And at the beginning of the episode, you got David on the phone to his mate Andy. This is the prison guy, and he says, "Look, I'll meet you up later. Let's sort something out." So I kind of was going into the episode thinking, I was fairly convinced that it was going to be Logan that did it, and that maybe there'd be a couple of other suspects, because, you know, David had been talking about the possibility of insurance fraud last week, hadn't he? So I thought, or maybe there's a possibility that
get pinned on him. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Logan, but it'd be pinned on David. Yeah. But anyway, so that kind of started off the episode going the way that way.
How do you feel about that? That it turned out to be a mystery. There's so many mysteries on Corrie recently, haven't there?
Yeah, and they're very much in danger of overdoing it, because we had the two Whodunnits last year. You had Joel's murder, and you had the mystery of what's happened to Lauren. And now do we need another Whodunnit for a fire? And ordinarily, I'd say it's fine, but just the fact that there's another one, and they have gone down the route of sort of saying, no, it wasn't them, already with it. I mean, I maybe leave it until later. I suppose I've said it already in the short, but I'm, you know, fairly certain on my top suspect now, because I just don't think there's anybody else left that it could be.
It's normally not someone that they've told you is a suspect.
Yeah, exactly that.
And so that leaves one person.
Yeah, pretty much. Right, anyway, look, so there's a face-off between Toya and Leanne a bit in the cafe later. Leanne's like snaps at Roy, and she sits down. Steve comes in and is like, "Look, are you okay?" Yeah, she started boozing already. So Leanne is still having a bit of a problem, a bit of a moment where she can't quite get over what's going on between Toya and Nick, and she's like, come and join me for a drink, and he's like, I can't, I gotta go out driving later. Abby, meanwhile, who is another suspect later in the week, she starts off asleep on the sofa, has another moment of waking up and, oh my gosh, where's Alfie? But it's all right, because he's over at Wendy's, isn't he?
Now,
over
Wendy's,
at Wendy Papadopoulos,
for Americans, is not a burger place. It's a lady.
It's an actual lady called Wendy here, yeah.
She doesn't make chili or chopped up burgers.
No. Abby's like, I need a day off from all the stress, that's fine. Kevin's also texted Debbie about the social services thing, because Abby, by the end of last week's episode, was convinced that Debbie was the one that dobbed her in it. But Debbie's apparently said no, and I was like, well, you know, of course you'd say that. I still reckon it's definitely her. So she's hounding Debbie down the street later, and Debbie's kind of clopping as quickly as she can away, but she's only got short legs, bless her. Abby catches up with her, and now Debbie's like, no, want me? Leave me the heck alone. I wouldn't do that to you. And Abby just says, watch your back.
Watch your back.
I'm on to you, lady. Leanne, meanwhile, sees Sam in the street and says, do you want to come to the cinema later? He says, I can't. We've got Sarah's birthday bash later on. I've got to go along to that.
This was also much critiqued. Sarah's birthday
I'm going to say
was
with good
weird,
reason. Sarah's birthday was bizarre. An afternoon, seemingly, birthday party for a 38-year-old woman. They close.
Sure? I think 38.
I think 38. Okay. I think she's the same age as my sister. They give or take a year. They closed down the whole restaurant so that Queen Sarah Platt could deck it out with all kinds of streamers,
Fondant
balloons,
fancies.
fondant fancies and cupcakes. It didn't look like a kiddies party because
It did look like a kiddies party.
it looked like a kind of sophisticated kiddies party because it
looked
had
like an
pearlescent
expensive
balloons rather
child's
than just
party.
cheapo ones.
They spent a lot of money on very childish decorations and very weird food, and she invited a lot of children.
She had no friends of her own.
She
there,
didn't have
did
any
she?
friends,
I mean,
just her
Todd
family.
maybe came along, didn't they?
And then he picked
But-
at some charcuterie, and there was some kind of strange slice of what looked like a giant piece of beetroot at one point.
I'd get it if it was her 40th birthday, but this was just.
What was the theme? The theme was the props
The
department.
theme was let's get everyone out of the house so that it can be set on fire.
and she
I
was
think.
supposed to have a ventriloquist.
Yeah, a ventriloquist. This is bizarre.
Was there
Like,
something in the script or a scene that got cut where she was saying, "I just thought it'd be funny to have a kids' party"?
No.
No, but you don't know that. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Oh.
why couldn't they have just had some line in there where she's like, "I just thought it would be a laugh to have a kids' party." You're right. If it had been her 40th, it would have been made sense and been funny.
Yeah.
Like, I decided to
birthday.
reclaim my youth. I don't want to be 40. I've decided to be 8 again.
Why would somebody like Sarah
Sarah doesn't seem like she's got a sense of humour either.
Well,
Or any sense of whimsy
I just
about
don't
her
get
at
why
all.
any adult, or indeed I'm going to say child, would want a ventriloquist at their birthday party. Is that a thing? Can you actually get them? I did like the scenes where they had, because they sadly had to cancel the ventriloquist. I like the scenes where they had was it Todd sitting on Tim's lap? I
I think
can't
they
remember.
just wanted those scenes.
That's what I think. I think they wanted the actors to pretend to be ventriloquists and ventriloquist dubbing. Oh, they had Jack, didn't they, as well? It was Jack on Todd's lap at first. Not Jack, sorry, Harry. Jack did get a couple of lines in the episode.
Jack was
but Harry
at the
stole
party?
the show. Yeah, Harry was at
Why
the party.
did she invite a child? No, Harry, Jack.
Jack came later to say, Sarah, your house is on fire.
And then he did a ventriloquist dummy act.
No, you're not remembering it. Harry
Harry was
being a
yeah, I do remember that.
ventriloquist's dummy
I do remember
on Todd's
that.
lap. And that was
Yeah, that
quite
was-
funny.
that
I
was
think he did
kind
a
of
good
funny.
job with that. But it
still
still
weird.
doesn't excuse the fact of why was there a ventriloquist
I
put
just
for the
need
party anyway.
to know what the theme was.
Yeah.
What's the theme? Confusion.
Gail's gone, let's go to town. But I wonder whether, ever
Gail
since she was a
hates
kid, Sarah wanted a ventriloquist at her birthday party.
having
And
trouble
Gail was
with that
like,
word, aren't
no, thank you. And give me the creeps. I'm not having a ventriloquist party, Sarah. And as soon as she's off to France, Sarah's like, fulfill my lifelong dream. I think that's it.
It's
But-
the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, so anyway, this is the hot place to be. Well, I suppose the Platts was a bit hotter on Monday night, and Sam is not going to the cinema with Leanne for nobody. No way. So he goes over to the garage in a bit and gets talking to Abby about this party. And I don't know why he did this. Why would he go and speak to Abby, this little kid? But anyway, it facilitated the plot development that he let it slip that he knows what happened about her abandoning Alfie in the precinct the other day, and clearly Toya's been talking about this at home, and Abby suddenly, little light bulb moment, realises that the dobber in her must have been Toya herself. Of course it was, my newly made sworn nemesis. Of course she's dobbed me into the social services. So she's on a warpath.
It's always the ones with no kids, isn't it?
So Todd and David are chatting outside the funeral directors later, and then we see Logan having a snoop on them from afar. So Logan's back. It's been a couple of weeks since he's turned up, and he's watching on. This is another kind of little bit of a breadcrumb to make you think, oh, Logan's definitely involved in starting the fire. David spies him, gives chase, and he gives up pretty quickly, doesn't he? But I guess David's also, like Debbie, only got little legs, and he kind of knows that it's no point chasing against Logan long legs there. So he gets away, and Nick comes over and says, look, David, forget about him. You need to come to your sister's birthday party later. It's gonna be great. There's a ventriloquist. One last chance for everyone, apart from Gail, to get together before Bethany goes to London. So we were wrong last week on the podcast when we presumed that Bethany had snuck away to London without telling anybody.
Yeah.
I knew it before we started the episode because they put a little thing up on the Corrie Instagram, which was all of the Corrie actors who were there on the night shoot saying, how would you describe the scenes in one word, and yeah, Lucy Fallon was there, so I was
Incredible.
expecting it. Yeah.
Incredible scenes.
So
Smokeless.
Bistro next. We got the birthday party. It's all great to do there. Toya says, sorry. This is peculiar. So I think I'm getting this right.
This was weird.
Toya has said that the ventriloquist, this child's entertainer, has posted all about her on his social media. Is he just sitting there, this ventriloquist, by the phone, or maybe the dummy's by the phone? I don't know how these things work.
Maybe the dummy did it.
Just waiting for years, saying, come on, someone's going to want me. Someone wants a ventriloquist.
No.
And he's like, I've been booked. I'm going to post it on social media for my 100,000 followers. At last, I've got a booking. It's the first one in 5 years.
You'd think that somebody who worked with children would have a tiny little idea about safeguarding, and maybe you don't post ahead of time you're going to a child's party before it happens and where it's going to be.
I just think, who cares where he's
promoting his... What do you mean? He's promoting his business.
Maybe if he's done it afterwards and taken a few snaps and got the permission from the parents to say, look, can I use this to advertise? But it is literally, from what I get from this, he's like, I've been booked. Look, I'm going to be there. Is he like the famous ventriloquist of Weatherfield, and he wants all his hardcore fans to be outside the bistro asking him for autographs as he arrives? I don't know.
It doesn't really hold up to scrutiny, but I did appreciate what they were doing here with the whole, that it's been compromised. But they didn't actually...
So clearly Sarah thinks that Harvey and Logan and all these tough nuts of Weatherfield are his ardent followers. So... Also...
It's also quite funny that Sarah's like, oh man, it's got out now. She doesn't cancel the party. She just cancels... Oh no, is it Toya? Somebody cancels him, but then keeps the party going. But they also don't stop to think that it's not that difficult to find them if they were... if somebody was still looking for them, because it's up the road from the house that just got
I know.
shot.
It's literally 10 steps away.
And there's like... Were there balloons outside?
I don't think there were.
But I don't think it would have been hard to find them, really.
But the other thing with this, of course, was that they said that...
it was a mess.
Sorry. It wasn't a total mess. They said that the ventriloquist, it's okay. If we cancel him, then he's now going to post on his social media, I'm not going to the bistro. I don't have a booking. Don't worry, Logan and Harvey. You don't need to go there
that
anymore.
Wouldn't work on me, because I'd just be embarrassed and delete it. And then they would assume that I'd been told to delete it and the party was still on.
This really, unless I missed something, this whole posted on social media cancelling the ventriloquist did not hold up to scrutiny. No, it didn't even mean anything in the end.
Unless the person who did the fire was related in some way to Harvey. Which we don't... Nobody thinks this.
This is true. You're absolutely right.
Nobody thinks this at all.
Maybe the ventriloquist's dummy is the arsonist here. Nobody ever suspects the ventriloquist's dummy.
Nobody expects the person made of wood.
This is very true. That is a risky game.
It's like, I know it's dangerous, but I just love it.
You have to be paid well for that danger money there. Look, anyway...
That's why it had to
not
be
coming.
That's why it had to be CGI, and he still backed out. I'm not going. They say I'm a wooden actor, but oh dear.
I definitely read at least one article this week related to the fire that went back to that old well of soap actors all being wooden. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not true at all. They're great.
No,
anyway,
it isn't true.
Also, bizarrely, don't ask too many questions about this one, Hope, Sam, Ruby and Lily, who are all best mates now, have decided that today is the day to do a séance. Because why not?
I love a séance. Oh, everyone listen. Lidl, next week, they're doing a witchcraft kit.
Oh,
yeah, and...
So that's down the middle of Lidl next week.
It is going to be down the middle of Lidl. And and a tarot card reading kit. And also a sewing machine. So you can make some kind of robe and join a...
Well, these kids are ahead of the curve, aren't they, clearly?
Well, I've got a theory here.
Anybody in Weatherfield shops in Lidl.
I think that this séance that they eventually do did some kind of reverse, like, chronologically reversed the ghosts that appeared. So...
Oh, maybe.
So the Hellmouth opened.
All these other ghosts have been appearing for the last 6 months or so.
I think that maybe this séance sealed them up.
Yes.
Or it caused them, but in reverse, because I don't think ghosts understand time.
Well, it didn't really actually work, because we have seen both Seb and Logan since then. But it's not a bad theory.
This is what happens when you do a séance over the Hellmouth, because we know the sinkholes are everywhere.
Yes, it's a bit Buffy-ish, isn't it?
They know they're going to reboot Buffy.
No.
That's another good news. I know. Everyone's excited now. You can carry on.
Never really liked
You can carry on.
Look, anyway,
You never watched it.
Hope, rising internet star, is going to be live streaming this seance, and they want somewhere to go. And Sarah says, "Well, you can't go round number 8. That's a dangerous place." So Hope says, "It's all right. We'll go to my place. I live there. They can't stop me." So they all strop off to go and do this seance.
So they were going to have a seance in the bistro.
No, they wanted somewhere to. I don't know.
I thought they were all in the bistro.
They came into the bistro.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted to say we're going
to do a seance somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway, so they go off. Tim and Todd turn up. And Todd can see Sarah's a little bit worried at this point, and it turns out she's somewhat perturbed because David still hasn't shown up yet. So she gives him a ring, who's in their kitchen. So the kids are obviously taking a long time to get to number 8 for their seance. He's in the kitchen pretending that he's outside a irate client's house or something, isn't he? I think, and he's saying, "Oh yeah, I can't remember."
I'm with a client
he says,
from the salon.
Yeah,
but he's
actually, he's
not.
He's got a
bag.
big black bag, and he's heading outside. And I think a lot of us thought, "Oh, maybe this is going to be arsonist kit." That
you don't need a lot of equipment to be an arsonist.
No, it's very lightweight, isn't it? So Steve, meanwhile, back to them. He finds Leanne buying a bottle of vodka in the shop, and she's tried to coax him into joining her again. He's like, "No, sorry, Leanne, I really, really can't." So Leanne sets to getting slosh for the rest of the episode. Toya. She finds Harry watching Hope's live stream. What do you think about this development of Hope being a live streamer?
Love it.
I kind of, in a way, and maybe this is just my fuddy-duddy way, I think, no, that's just silly. Of course you wouldn't.
Really?
But actually, no,
Kids
kids
would do
really
this.
totally do this.
I would have done
they?
this. I remember when I was little, I used to make plays and radio shows all the time.
Yeah.
And this is just another... I mean, I don't think you should do it when you're this age because people watch your streams that are not there to enjoy the wholesome.
She is old enough to use
fun.
TikTok now, isn't she?
Well,
how old? You got to be 13 or so to use that.
I don't.
So
think...
she's taking right advantage. It feels like, as somebody,
totally something Hope would do.
I think so.
She's an exhibitionist.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. She likes to share.
Not exhibitionist is not the right word. She's an extrovert. She's a show off. I love her. She wants attention all the time. This is perfect for her.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that she's doing a seance. I wonder if this is gonna go anywhere because
I don't know.
There must be ghosts everywhere. Maybe she'd listen to a few of our ghost episodes.
Maybe.
And
they were trying to summon Callum, weren't they? I think they were.
Yeah.
Callum Logan from the dead, from the bottom of Gail's.
That's why they wanted to
Annex.
do it in that house because that's where he died.
Yeah, I would have thought. I wonder whether she's tried to get her dad, trying to get a bit of John Stape, or is she over that now?
Has
that
anyone
obsession.
died in her house?
Oh, somebody's died in every house, probably. Yeah.
Don't know.
Anyway, look, they're there doing their seance. Oh no, I missed a bit with Toya. No, I did literally.
No, Toya
finds Harry watching the seance.
Yeah.
And then she sees they're at number 8, rushes out, tries to clop over to number 8, but she's intercepted on the way by an increasingly sozzled Leanne who has a massive go at her, throws a bottle of vodka at her, smashes on the floor. I was wondering whether that was gonna, turn into anything exciting as part of the fire. I suppose it was all dried up by then, wasn't it? It all evaporated.
Well, there's probably glass on the floor.
Yes, there was. There was a lot of smashed glass on.
But then, after a while, once the windows smash from the heat, there's doesn't matter, does it?
There's a fair bit, yeah. No, so Toya goes inside the house, find them making this séance, and
with candles everywhere.
With candles everywhere.
Yeah.
Toya says, "Look, you can't do this. It's not safe to be here." And Hope has to end her live stream, and they all hurry out.
She's like, "Don't do it here because ghosts will come."
I don't know how unsafe that house actually was.
No.
I mean, I know that it did get firebombed in the end, but it wasn't necessarily one of Harvey's lot that did it, I'm gonna say. But I felt like they were being a little bit overprotective and paranoid about it. Yeah, and this was all clearly done as a little bit of a contrived way of getting Toya into a house that she's got really no reason to be in.
I didn't mind it so much. I thought that there was going to be more made of the fact that the candles, she was responsible for blowing the candles out. She was very confident in saying that she definitely blew all the candles out.
Who are Toya?
Yeah. If I was in a house and it caught on fire right after I'd blown out some candles, I would really question if I'd done it or not, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I'll give her big ups for her self-confidence here and memory.
Right, so anyway, she's there and she's sort of putting it all out, sorting it. It's fine. Meanwhile, you get Abby watching Jack watching this live stream because he's clearly got nothing better to do on a Monday afternoon than watch his neighbour doing a séance across the road. He says, look...
Going to a fondant fancy party with Sarah or watch a live stream of a séance.
I can't remember how old Jack's supposed to be now. Is he supposed to be 16 or so?
Millions of us used to tune in for Most Haunted, Michael.
I know.
Okay? This is entertainment.
I just think, he's got an Xbox or a Switch or something. I don't think that's going to be top on his list of things to watch, but never mind. It's also the fact that the actor who plays him is turning 18 this year. It just seems bizarre. But anyway, he says that Toya's just been at number 8, Abby, and she's like, oh, that's very handy, my nemesis. I was meaning to tear her a new one. I'm going to go over there and sort her out. So Abby slinks into the house and confronts Toya about calling the social services and kind of goads her about not having the right to care about a child. And then she grabs a match and holds it at Toya, and she's been threatening him with this.
Why does she do that?
Just to be well hard, hasn't she? She's like got fire in her hands. Who knows what she could do? So Toya edges backwards, knocks a bottle of wine onto the floor just to lay the ground for her inevitable accident. Make a bed for her to lie in. Then Abby starts, here we go, just when you don't want it, just when the most inconvenient time, starts having another hallucinatory moment. Seb's there, Mason's there, they're all kind of talking with Toya's voice, aren't they? So Toya's trying to say, Abby, what's up, what's going on? Yeah.
Well, look, you can't look. Okay, hang on a minute.
I kind of hope that we've seen enough of this now. I feel like I've seen enough of it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but you see the point that it was leading up to this, don't you? Like this was why Abby had these visions.
Yeah.
You can't say there were too many of them because that was the point.
I know.
If they hadn't have had any of them before this scene, everyone would have gone, "What the hell's going on? Why is it? Did the sounds work and the ghosts actually turned up?"
Yeah.
I honestly think
maybe it did.
That's what I said
earlier. It's just a delayed.
That's what I said earlier.
Action, yeah.
But I do think that maybe they thought, oh yeah, if we have a séance and then the ghosts turn up without any prior appearance, it's going to sound weird. We're going to have to lay the breadcrumbs beforehand. We don't want the Wiccan Council of Great Britain coming after us for misrepresenting summoning the dead.
It all makes sense now. Anyway, Abby's getting very het up. And Toya's trying to reach out for her, and Abby pushes her back, and I think Toya she falls over.
Really
she kind of collapses like a little straw doll, doesn't she?
Look, I respect everybody for their dietary choices, but she is not a good advertisement for vegan diet, is she? She just collapsed immediately.
She's not a vegan, she's just a vegetarian.
Well, she's not getting enough protein.
She knocked her head on the counter on the way, didn't she? And then
that was
landed
a joke.
in a pile of
I
glass.
don't mind if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, obviously. And then she probably laid on that wine, and it was probably one of them wines that's made with fish guts.
Is that what?
Yeah, they clarify some wine with some kind of weird fish thing, which is why it's not always vegetarian and vegan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
I would say
that's
probably why she didn't get up.
Generally, soap characters are lightweights when it comes to pushes. It doesn't take much
to knock someone out, does it? For hours.
Yeah. But then you get your other sort who can get hit over the head with a crowbar and be absolutely fine. Emily Bishop, Kelly, not Kelly Nealon, Lauren. That's it. I always get those two mixed up. So yeah, so Toya's there having a lie down on the floor. She's blood pouring out of her temples because she bashed her head and now she's landed on the glass.
So yeah,
and Abby kind of sobers up pretty quick and legs it.
She's not drunk.
Who?
Abby.
No, she's just very mentally scarred.
She's like, oh, the ghosts have gone.
Yeah.
Left me alone with this mess. Bloody typical.
We love Abby. We're Abby's biggest fans. I know, but
what happened?
Abby literally left Toya to die.
She didn't really, no.
What do you mean? Yes, she did.
She's like, oh, the ghost did that. I'm going. It's nothing to do with me. So you sort this out. Bye, love.
I don't buy that Abby would literally leave this woman. And I know she thought she stopped her into social services.
She's not seeing what's really there. You don't
episode.
even know if she saw Abby on the floor. She might not. Toya. She might not have even seen what happened.
She did. She knew what
She's
was going on.
having hallucinations.
No, look. Throughout the rest of the episode, she's
gone-
there looking a little bit
she's
guilty
gone
about
bananas.
it. Even at the very end of the episode, the final shot of Mondays, you see a little bit of Abby round the corner, and then Tuesday starts off with her going, bloody hell, I'm out of here. I
know what you're saying.
I've lost a bit of respect for my girl
she's-
Abby this week.
Okay, but she's very overwhelmed. And I don't think that she really thought that Toya was going to die.
I suppose the worst bit of it all is the number of people that have been carted into the cop shop by the end of the week. Abby, she's just walking free. She literally hit somebody, caused them to injure themselves quite badly, and then left them to die in a fire. And she's just like, yeah, by the end of the week, she's like, I'm free. I'm free as a bird, me. Sorry, I've just been having visions. Is that okay?
When you're like having a panic attack or something, you don't think clearly and you're not in any fit state to do anything for anybody, are you? Really?
No, but there was plenty of opportunity after this for her to have done something.
Just go and have a little sip, have a cup of tea.
Sorry, things have got a bit
and then
out
go
of hand.
back and get her and see if she's got a bit of wine bottle.
Are we being too critical of this episode? It doesn't feel like we're being particularly complimentary about it.
Well, this is what I always wonder, because the past 2 weeks I have gone on the radio and gone, come and listen to our show about Coronation Street. I love Coronation Street. It's great. I'm positive. And then you tune in and we're like, oh, I like the crap.
I have been so positive about Coronation Street the past few months, and that has been totally genuine. I have loved it. I've been thinking it's absolutely smashing, and I've been getting all these bangings I've been giving it on the Street Talk shorts. Yeah. And this week, because I had my high standards, I think that was one of the things that let me feel a little bit let down. But you know, if you're giving Monday's episode a bit of scrutiny, there's going to be a few things that you might want to pull on, a few little threads here.
But you're criticising Abby, right? But you're still doing it as though she's a real person. And I always think that about these things. When we talk about, quite often I'll see people on Twitter as well going, I hate Coronation Street, it's rubbish, it's a load of crap. And then they'll talk about a character's actions as though they're a real person and critique them. And I think you can't not realise that you are buying completely into this being real. Can you?
Well, nobody thinks it's real.
No, but you're not going, oh, why did the writers say that she left Toya? Yeah. But you see, can you understand my distinction? When we criticise the show, we criticise sometimes the writing and the production, and sometimes we criticise the way the characters act. And I don't think that what she did here felt out of character or out of ordinary for what she was experiencing, what we see. She saw ghosts appear and she ran away. That's what I would do.
But you'd love it.
But
you'd get your camera out.
I would actually. But do you see what I'm saying? Can you see that there are two sorts of criticism?
Yeah, but
when you're focusing on the character complaints, it's good for the show because it shows that you're buying into the fictional world to such an extent that you're criticising the characters for what they are doing when they have no agency. They're just following the script.
I don't think that Abby would have left Toya to die in that. I think she's too good a person.
But you said you lost a bit of respect for her. So what do you really think? Do you think that this was bad writing for Abby, or do you think that this was just Abby at her weakest mental point? Broken.
No, it's a bit of both.
Because I buy this, we've watched her leave her child in the car for hours. If she was in her right mind, she never would have done that.
She did do that last week.
They've really set up. And they've laid it on so thickly that you're complaining they did it too much. But obviously, they did it enough.
She has kind of run away in the past as a defence mechanism, hasn't she?
This is totally what Abby is a woman of extremes.
Well,
and when she's very, very brave, she's amazing. And when she's scared, she's a coward. And she's left Toya here. And this is why she's such a great, complicated character. Because we've seen her run into burning buildings to rescue people. And now she's running out of one.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that it's on fire yet.
Not that it's on fire
Spoiler
yet,
alert.
no. So, anyway, that's going on there. We also had a little scene where David meets up with Andy, his prison mate, outside some dodgy place somewhere and passes him a bag and heads inside. So there was just a couple of breadcrumbs left there on Monday to make you think, what's David up to? What's going on there? So meanwhile, you got back in the bistro and they're still waiting for David and Audrey to show up. Audrey was... I think that maybe Sue Nichols just didn't fancy doing an outside shoot in the middle of the night in November.
Imagine her going, Oh no, love it. I don't
No,
wanna
no,
think
you
I'll-
do that without me, love it. I'll be fine.
Is there
I'll be
one?
fine.
Is there a scene with fondant fancies? I'll do that one.
She didn't even get to do that, did she? I thought maybe that was the deal. It's like, so if you want a fondant fancy, you got to be outside for the night shoot in November.
No, forget it. I'll buy my own fondant
I'll turn up
fancies.
the next day. Says, oh, she said there was bad traffic and that's why she couldn't make it. I say.
Where do you think you live? Southampton.
So, traffic in Southampton, terrible at the moment.
Worst in the country.
Meanwhile, at the bistro, they're still waiting on David and Audrey. I've already said that. Shona's now been texted by David saying he's at the Wholesalers. And Sarah says, look, this is... You're turning into a bit of a doormat here, Shona. You're defending David. He's clearly doing something dodgy here. He's not here for my birthday party, me, the great Sarah. Sorry.
And I've put on an amazing spread.
Exactly. He loves a pink fondant fancy, does
This
David.
was all for David.
Yeah. And things starting to get a bit heated between the ladies because Shona's still being quite defensive of David and Nick has to weigh in and break it up between them. He says, Shona, go and pick up the cake. Go and make yourself useful. So, back to Abby, and she's at number 13 now. She's gone home. I kind of missed what was going on here. She's scrubbing something. Is she just washing her hands? Because she dropped some glass in the sink. And I don't know.
A glass.
Is that what?
Drops it.
Okay.
Well, she must be.
Yeah, she drops a glass in the sink because she hears Debbie and Kevin coming back in. She kind of scarpers out the back door. Kevin comes in, finds the broken glass in the sink, and's like, oh, something's gone on here. Oh, yeah, she sees a bit of blood on it, doesn't he? Yeah. Toya's blood, clearly. So, Shona comes back to the bistro.
Throws the cake on the table, and this was a bakery cake.
Yeah,
a purchased cake.
This was a Rutland special. This one wasn't it?
Yeah, probably with fondant all over it. Happy birthday, Sarah.
Yeah, they don't do the red velvet bakery anymore. I don't think for behind the scenes at Coronation Street. So whoever made this, they did quite a good job. But again, and I know we can't criticise because we've just spent £100 on old cast Coronation Street costumes on ITV Relove, but there was a lot of money spent on Sarah's birthday, really, wasn't there?
And
they are having
really ate any
some
of it.
form of money issues.
Oh,
at the Platts.
Maybe this is just Sarah being a total bitch and rubbing it in David's face that he's poor.
Yeah, probably. Well, she's
like,
there in her ivory tower
I
of Red
co-own
Bank.
a factory and I live in a fancy apartment with my daughter who's working for Trendascend.
Yeah, that's why she's mad that David's not there, because he's not there to be jealous that she can have this as a birthday, and he has to say her birthday with Christmas.
Yeah, nobody gets him a birthday cake, do they?
Nope.
Nobody gives a crap about you,
His birthday
David.
cake has got... It's just a Christmas cake, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got a sprig of holly and icing.
It's always
on top.
got to have raisins in it.
Anyway, Leanne, what's been going on with her at the moment? She's in Victoria Gardens, definitely drunk. She's on a bench somewhere. Abby finds her, because why not? She's also in the episode. And Leanne says, look, I think Abby wants money. She wants to escape, doesn't she? She needs to get out of here. And it doesn't really work. Kevin and Debbie turn up at Roy's. Any sign of Abby? No. Or Alfie? No. The kids come in wanting some meat for the film that they're doing with David the dog. We didn't see David the dog at all this week, and I did wonder at the beginning of the week, is David the dog gonna die?
Yeah.
Because surely there had to be someone that died in a fire as grand and spectacular as this. No, not a single death. What a letdown.
Don't listen to our bonus episode to find out more about people who die in fires.
Or people who don't die this week in fires. Yeah, I was somewhat convinced that someone was going to die this week. Especially because I think like the previews for the week was like David was going to lose everything that was precious to him. Or I don't know. And in a way he did. And he nearly lost Max. But... I thought that maybe David the dog would die in the fire.
Yeah, but that would be a cop-out though, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't, because, those clickbait articles that we were talking about earlier, this would have been right for it. David dies in Platt family fire. People, the journos were just waiting to type that. That would have been perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I was there ready to... post the gifs from Big Brother of the David's Dead.
Yeah, you were, I remember.
Is David's Dead famous? I think it is. Some people will know what I'm talking about.
Celebrity Big Brother, David's Dead.
Look it up. It's the most hilarious.
You have to watch it.
It's the most hilarious film. But I was thinking that if David the dog was going to die, do Corrie just go straight in with it and just do a complete parody of the David's Dead Big Brother scene and have people telling everyone David's dead, and everyone thinking that they're talking about David Platt? I think they could have got away with it. I think for the comedy that would have really worked.
No way. People would get so mad. Ofcom would be...
Why? It's just a parody.
No, but if you kill an animal, people hate it.
Animals have all survived the fires of Coronation Street, haven't they?
Well, there's only really been one.
Leanne the rabbit, yeah. No, I think that they could have gone that way. But
don't
they
think
didn't.
so.
But they didn't. The kids were feeding
People
ham.
do not have any chill when it comes
ham and
to
chicken today with the dog.
hilarious animal deaths. In soaps.
Well, maybe they would have had to have put the warning on the
warning.
Beginning
If
of
you
the episode.
don't have
warning,
sense of
the
humour,
dog dies.
don't bother watching this. It's going to be hilarious.
Anyway, the kids go off. They got their box of chicken. They're going to have a great time. Debbie tells Kevin.
What is Roy doing with a box of chicken?
Oh, just
What's on the menu? That's just chicken.
No, I don't know. Who cares? Maybe it's from a
I
jacket
do.
potato topper. Anyway, this is
Chicken
where the fire
potatoes.
starts.
I can tell you don't cook
Chicken
for yourself.
mayonnaise.
Chicken
No?
potatoes. While I'm
Is
having
that not a
dinner.
thing?
Yeah, chicken mayonnaise is not chicken potato.
Okay. Right, the fire's started. So
Yay, we got to the
last.
fire. We are an
The
hour and
arson
17 minutes into the...
The fire starts. So somebody in a dark jacket, it looks like,
Yeah.
but because of the frosted glass, you can't really tell.
What happens?
Puts a rag through, puts some petrol through,
Yeah.
puts a match through, woof, off it goes. No, not woof, there's not David the dog, woof.
Right, this
goes
is
the
why
fire. So,
we all have those brushes on our
on a letterbox.
on our letterboxes. Stop children putting fireworks and matches through them.
Yep, this'll teach you.
If you don't have it, it's your own fault.
So, fire's starting and Toya's still out cold nearby. Oh no, what's going to happen to her?
She hates fire.
What?
This is going to get really bad for her, isn't it? Because I don't like being on fire either.
No, she's fine. She was okay.
Watch
It didn't
out,
spread
Toya.
that. Luckily, she's in the kitchen and it's tiled, so it's maybe a bit harder for the fire to get to her. Anyway, Tim's having a mope on the sofa later because during this ventriloquism scene, Todd had made reference to his
is
dad
this
and
gonna be
said,
a bloody story?
you're just like your dad. You entertainment's in your blood. And Tim was like, oh, that makes me sad because I don't want to be like Jeff. And
Maybe Tim started the fire because Jeff started a fire.
he didn't he? Jeff did start a fire.
Maybe in like a fugue state of like paranoia and trauma about his dad, Tim set the fire in to kind of like fulfill the prophecy.
This feels more like a kind of Twilight Zone thing where the ventriloquist dummy controls the ventriloquist, and yeah, exactly. And Tim is there zombified going across the strip. No,
Well, because we know Jeff is a ghost, and we know they did a seance.
Jeff is definitely a ghost on
and
Coronation
probably did
Street.
summon Jeff because Jeff's ghost probably can.
He can't
go.
keep away Jeff's ghost.
Well, Jeff Ghost is in the front garden of Yasmin's house. You can probably crawl along from there to the Platts front room for a seance if you're a ghost.
I think what I'm learning from today's episode of the podcast is it's probably best if you watch the show because we may be going off topic and being a bit silly a bit too much this week. But hey,
listen,
it's all
you
good
bring
fun,
up
isn't
a
it?
seance and ghosts around me. I'm going to go on tangents all the way through because I love ghosts and seances.
Right. Anyway, that's all by the by. Tim's feeling a bit sad, but then they hear beep, beep, beep from the fire alarm.
no.
And Sally's like, oh, let's go and see what that is. So Kevin, meanwhile, and Debbie are still at the cafe. They've been on the phone to the hospital, but Abby's not turned
She's gone
up
missing.
there. She's AWOL. Debbie
And
says,
there's
look,
blood in the sink. And they're
stop
worried.
mollycoddling Abby. She's going to be fine. Get a grip. And Kev says, oh no, wherever she is, she needs me. At the bistro, Nick's starting to worry that Toya hasn't turned up. Yeah,
I
she's
wouldn't
been
be
away for
worried
quite a while, hasn't she?
That anyone wasn't turning up for this party.
Everyone's just finding an excuse to get away from it, aren't
Nick's
they?
like, she's not getting away with not coming
If
to
there's
this
no
party.
ventriloquist, sorry, I'm making my excuses. That's the only reason I paid the £5 entry fee. So Sally then bursts into the bistro and is like, watch out, your house is on fire.
She's like, did you guys mean to have your house on fire?
Because it is. They all rush out, and this is where they go past Jack, who makes his contribution to the episode saying, your house is on fire.
Thanks,
It's like, we
Jack.
know, Jack. Off you go. Anyway,
Don't give up your
they're
day
worried
job.
because they think that Lily might still be there. She's
there.
not, but that was the kind of main worry. And then finally, after
get
all
to the
this
fire.
build-up, we get to the big tracking shot. And we have kind of talked about this at length anyway, so just to cut a long story short, they're all kind of there. It was brilliant. I love the camera revolving around them. And it was also a case of like, how long did it take us to realise it was a tracking shot? Because you can kind of tell with these things, can't you? Because it kind of goes round the front of the characters and then it pans to someone else. And it is like, oh, they're doing this.
They're doing
are
the children of men thing.
Yeah, they are. And so they go into the house. Max is
on.
trying to phone
Max,
Lily, and no, she doesn't pick up, and Sarah's like, oh, the phone's probably melted, or Shona does, I don't remember. Shona's telling Nick, look, this is clearly Harvey's doing, he's got to us. So she and him rush round the back, can't risk waiting for Lily, so in they go. Burst into the back of the kitchen, room's full of smoke, Toya's there on the floor, Nick's thinking, well, she's probably been in there for quite a while, so what's another minute of me dilly-dallying around before I drag her out by the ankles? Max comes in after them, interesting. He and Shona go upstairs to check for Lily. This is where Nick's saying, just go upstairs, go and check for Lily, go further into the burning building. I'll be really brave and just stay here by the back door and look after Toya. Although, to be fair to him, Nick has done his fair share of rescuing from fire in the past. He rescued Janice Battersby from the burning factory. So
didn't he also rescue someone else?
I think he might have done another rescue. I can't remember.
He's like, the fire probably hasn't reached upstairs. Fire doesn't go up.
Fire doesn't go up. It likes to stay nice and low. That's right, isn't it? So he carries he carries Toya out the back door. David, meanwhile, is rushing up outside, trying to kick the door down because Nick goes out the front, puts Toya on the floor. This is still all one shot. It's very cleverly planned. And also earlier this week, and it's probably too late now. It is too late. Matt Hilton, the director, put some storyboards of this scene on his Instagram story, didn't they? Very good. More of that, please.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Brilliant.
So
Toya's getting CPR.
Leanne's like, oh.
Leanne's just rocked up with a bottle of vodka, a new one, and is like,
I'm glad she didn't try to put the fire out of that.
Yeah, she wasn't that far gone. So anyway, she's also sobers up pretty fast when she sees
works out that there are people in the building that he probably wants to rescue.
Yes, so he goes back to the front again. No, he's already at the front.
He kicks
the door down, gets a bit of a fire blast in his face, and and then the camera kind of goes past him. It's very clever. Goes inside the front living room. Everything's ablaze. The picture of him and Shona on their wedding day is crackling away nicely. Then we finally see Shona and Max come downstairs. How blooming long were they upstairs? All they were doing was checking for Lily.
No, but how it takes longer to try to find something that's not there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I suppose they had to find everywhere.
Just
imagine if they said, just pop my head round her bedroom. She wasn't there, so I came back downstairs again. Meanwhile, Lily's just on the bog.
Yeah.
Dying.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so they hobble downstairs, make a rush for the back door, bravely jumping through the flames. It's okay, because most of them are CGI, so they're not even hot. And but no, the back door won't open. Max says, I'm going to go and find a battering ram or something. Shona manages somehow with her pure brute strength to push the door open, slams behind her. Max is trapped inside. Oh my gosh.
Something falls in front of it.
Something falls in front of the door so he can't get out anyway. She coughs her way round to the front. Logan here is walking past as well.
Logan chooses
not at all suspicious
to walk through the crowd.
Yeah.
In a very purposeful manner.
Almost as if to say, hey guys, I might be a suspect, but I'm not.
Or am I?
I was at this point thinking 100% it's Logan, but then with the goings on Tuesday's episode, I thought, no, he's got a pretty good alibi here. I don't think it was him. So why they decided to have him there?
No, they had decided to have him there to make you think he was a suspect.
Yeah, but why he would actually be there?
Why would you walk through a crowd of people that are looking for you when you're on the run?
He would have been like standing there going, I was going to do that. Who got there first before me?
He's like going, I really don't remember doing this, but it must have been me.
That's the sort of thing that I do.
And then he gets his phone out and he's got his to-do list and he's like, tick.
No, I've got to go and visit Mason now and the Undertakers, and that's my jobs list for the week done. Anyway, the episode ends with an almighty explosion, because what's a fire on Coronation Street without something going boom? And they're all just basically left staring at it in horror. That's the end of Monday's episode, and the spectacular one-shot, brackets, not really, wonderful fire scene.
It wasn't one shot, but I did think it was good.
It was good. Yeah,
I did like it. I thought it was a really cool idea.
It was a very, very cool idea. I didn't really like all the whooshing around that they did.
I thought the sound effects kind of make me think that I am in the fire, and I'm some kind of like godlike being who is impervious to flames, but was also really nosy. And so I'm watching everything and but I also move quite dramatically. Maybe I've got a big not unflammable cloak like in the
Flameproof.
Traitors, and I'm like whooshing around.
Anyway, so that was that. I suppose we better get on to Tuesday's episode now.
Right,
Did you like the fact that it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week?
I think it was quite fun.
I think it was quite fun to have all three in a row. I wouldn't have liked to have waited 48 hours to see what happened next. And we're not going to have this problem next year, are we? When it's going to be on every day.
Oh, God.
But I think for the drama of this week, every day after another was good. But yeah, Wednesday's episode, Tuesday's episode, I found got a bit. Was it Tuesdays or was it Wednesdays?
You didn't like Wednesday.
I don't remember.
Wednesday.
It got bogged down by police stuff eventually.
Wednesday's episode got bogged down with everybody telling everybody else the same thing about
it did,
3
didn't
times.
It? Right, let's get on to that when we get to Wednesday.
You can talk about that. I'm talking about Tuesday.
What went
so
on
it picks
Tuesday?
up right where it left off,
They repeated scenes, didn't they?
They did. Except we see that Abby's there, hiding around the corner, going, "Oh dear, I think I left Toya in there." And she sort of rushes off. David's there with Shona, panicking that Max is inside, and the fire brigade finally turn up. Lazy. Kit is there. He's trying to give Toya CPR, and this is one of those things where it's. Normally, I'd get really into moaning about this, but I can't. I feel like we've been too negative, but this is one of these things that just happens on a soap, the same as being knocked out for hours. That wouldn't happen in real life. Like if you get given CPR, you kind of basically you're a gunner, aren't you? But people regularly get it all the time.
I mean, combined with the fact that she's probably just been inhaling a fair bit of smoke.
Yeah,
she was pretty much okay on Wednesday.
I just think, can we stop doing CPR? When you would never have it.
It adds to a bit of drama because they probably wanted us to think, oh, is Toya going to be okay?
I thought, I'd never at once worried that Toya...
Oh, we have been talking to Georgia Taylor, haven't we? And know that she's been going into work, so unless it's a ghost of Toya...
Well, this is what I mean. I don't trust anyone now.
Literally.
I just think you're a ghost. Anyway, I was half expecting Imran to turn up behind Toya while Abby was talking to her, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, why not the ghost of Imran? Because Abby was close enough to him to have a child with him. Anyway.
There's still chance. There's still time.
Toya's not really dead, but Leanne's worried, isn't she?
Yeah.
And Nick's disgusted with her. Oh, how could you be here drunk when your sister's dying on the floor, covered in wine? Go home. Yasmin shows up, and a lot of people wondered on Monday if she had died in the fire and nobody noticed, but she's fine. She's got a nice hat on, so that's amazing.
Yeah, it's February, isn't it?
And Shona's like, look, don't worry, the fire people will know what they're doing. And then we get a cut for the fireman inside, and I don't remember watching this and seeing this, but he apparently didn't have his hat on.
Oh, didn't he?
Or his helmet on or something.
Oh, that's dangerous. I enjoyed that scene.
Maybe he just likes danger. Maybe it's like, oh, I'm fed up with the boring routine fires. I like to take my helmet off every now and then just for a bit of a scare. Yeah. Anyway, so they find Max. He's out cold. They take him outside. Nick tells...
He's probably quite hot, to be honest, isn't he? But
he's out hot. Doesn't sound the same, does it? So... Nick's telling David that he's going in a hospital with Toya because it looks like she's been attacked.
Oh yeah, they see the blood, don't they?
The blood on her head.
Fire doesn't do that to you.
So Max gets taken out. He's got to go to hospital as well. So David goes in the ambulance with him, and Shona is looking a bit suspect.
I really liked this shot. The camera kind of zooms slowly in on her. She's kind of obviously a little bit taken aback and a bit like. Yeah, just a bit like, blimey.
What happened
What's
there?
just happened there? And the camera kind of zooms into her, and then it zooms out, and she's sitting in Sarah's flat. That was a very nice transition. I appreciated that.
Well, she's like, where's the fondant fancies? I can't believe Sarah's just left them all out. They're going to go stale.
She overbought fondant fancies, didn't she? Considering the number of guests.
I think you can only eat one at a time because they're so sweet. That was a big mistake. So they're in Sarah's flat. Sarah, the kids are there. Lily's crying, and she thinks it's all her fault, and it was a bit.
No, it wasn't her fault.
So Shona and Sarah and Bethany are left there, and she's like, oh, I don't know how David is. I never really know how he is, because obviously there's a bit of a rift growing once more between them.
Yeah, like that hasn't happened before.
Then we have fun with Jenny. She's decided that she's setting up a donation station for the Platts in the pub, and people are dropping off all their old crap they don't want anymore to try to help the family.
I liked the what was the T-shirt on Wednesday that Jenny finds in there? I'm on fire, or
something
like that. Something
it.
very inappropriate. Theory time. This isn't my theory.
Yeah.
It's one I read online.
I thought this
what?
myself.
You say it then.
The jacket, the hoodie that was seen on the CCTV is going to get dumped at the...
Yeah, I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. That seems quite obvious.
It's got to happen now.
And whoever it was that was taking that can obviously didn't know that they were...
But do you think the person who took the can is the person who set the fire?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but I'm sure it will be.
Right, so she's what's the word? Rallying the troops.
Yeah.
And Debbie tells Kevin, I think it might have been Abby who set the fire, because she was threatening to make Toya pay, and now Toya's on fire. Coincidence? I don't think so. So at the hospital, Leanne is sobering up swiftly next to Nick, who is still disgusted with her, doesn't want her to be there. He asks her whether she had anything to do with it, and she's like, no, I can't even believe you. How would you even think it was me? I would never do such a thing. Shona shows up at the hospital.
When was it? Was it here that she finds the... Oh no, it's later she finds the matches in her pocket.
She does find some incriminating evidence in her pocket. And the other pocket's got a letter that says, I will make Toya pay. And she's like, oh, damn it, why did I write that down?
Why didn't I throw this into the fire?
I should have set that on fire. So Shona shows up at the hospital, finds David, and Max is in a bad way, everyone. He's being put into a coma to protect himself. And David's like, it's not my fault, I stole the money, I brought this all on us. And Shona says, look, did you set this fire yourself to get the insurance money? And he's like, no. And she says, well, what are you up to? And he says, well, okay, right, don't get mad. I was doing a robbery. I wasn't burning down a house, I was just doing a robbery.
No, he doesn't.
He says this later.
He says later. He's just kind of dilly-dallying around the truth at this point.
He's like, I wasn't doing anything. It wasn't really legal, but no more questions.
Definitely wasn't burning down the house, yeah.
So Nick basically sends Toya, Leanne away, doesn't she? And this is when she finds the matches in her pocket as she's leaving. Mm. Oh God! Then
Lauren shows up.
Because Lauren is just attracted to sadness in the hospital. I don't think she's ever left that place.
I know you're right.
I think she just walks around.
She's got agoraphobia, hasn't she now?
And nobody questions her. She just moves from room to room and finds some kind of sad, tragic victim of some kind of horrible illness or accident.
You don't have to wait long at Weatherfield General to find somebody that you can have a good cry at.
And
she
she
should be a
weeps over their bed.
Mourner, shouldn't she?
And maybe the nurses are
I think Shuttleworth should employ her.
One of the nurses is like, who's that girl in that room? And she's like, can you see her? Because I thought she was a ghost. I thought she was just one of these horrible hospital ghosts that cries all the time. Jesus. Okay, we've got to get rid of her. So anyway, she shows up and she's crying over Max this time.
I was surprised how little, to be honest, we did see of Lauren this week. I think Tuesday was my favourite episode of them all, which is bizarre considering it was the Lauren episode. But I would have thought that we would have seen a little bit more of her by Max's bedside.
Oh God, I think they know that we don't want to see any more of Lauren crying.
Maybe
but
she just has to share out. She's got a rota of, Wednesday cry over Max's bedside. Friday I'm going to go and cry over Frankie's bedside.
Yeah, we didn't see her on Thursday and Fridays. What she's probably doing.
Well, no, you said Wednesday, you mean?
No, we didn't see her on Thursday and Friday.
That's because there wasn't an episode on Thursday and Friday.
That's my joke.
Oh, okay.
She was just crying over Frankie.
Oh.
We don't want to see that, so they didn't bother putting an episode on. Anyway, she's feeling sorry for herself because Max is dying and Frankie was dying. We remember. And
she's
then
this total self-pity party, isn't
and
it?
then
Honestly, woe is me.
Lauren says, "Why aren't you with Max, Shona?" And Shona says, "Oh, I want David to be with him," which I thought that was really weird. Surely you can go in, both of you. And she says,
I thought I don't know. Are you allowed more than one person in at once in these things?
It's TV, so
Shona clearly thinks that Max is very touch and go at this point, and she wants David to
be there,
time with his son.
They're both worried he's going to die, basically, and then Kit comes along, and David tells him that it was obviously Logan, and he saw him earlier in that day and tried to chase him, and you need to find him, otherwise I will, and I'll give him a really rubbish haircut.
worried were you about Max during this? Did you think he was gonna?
I thought he was going to die on Tuesday.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't, because I'd found out that he is definitely. I knew that he
Really?
would survive. I knew that he would survive the week, but I didn't tell you because I wanted you to. I wanted you to not. I didn't want to spoil it for you.
I still thought he was going to die maybe on Monday. You've spoiled it for me now, because you can still die.
I knew that he would.
time.
I knew that he would survive the week at the beginning of this week.
How do you work that out?
I'd been informed.
Who by?
I'll tell you later. Don't you worry about that. But I didn't want to tell you because I thought I didn't want to spoil it
No,
for
I
you.
wanted to see him die.
Well, no, he's fine. He's
Well, no,
waking
I
up
know
on
that
Wednesday.
now. I know.
He might die next week.
Well, this is what I mean. I think there are certain things you can drown ages after you've been in water.
Exactly.
Can you burn alive ages after you've been in a fire? I don't know. I'm not a biologist, am I? Right, so Audrey finally turns up to see everybody.
Oh, love it. What a desperate accident that was. Oh, it's so sad that I missed it. I think that she was
did you
just...
have a night shoot? Oh, sorry, I wasn't there. But it's cold, isn't it?
Sounded exciting, though.
What's that? Come to Grasmere Drive? No.
No. I need the whole house to myself.
I've got all my things how I like them.
It literally is, isn't it?
It's just like...
Seriously, she's got a massive house in Oak Hill.
Yes.
And yet the
It's
Platts
so
have to
huge.
bundle into the little flat with
Sarah?
Yeah.
And Sarah's still trying to foist fondant fancies on everybody. So anyway,
she's going to be eating them for breakfast, lunch and tea for weeks,
they're going to get
aren't
cavities. So Bethany is worried, and Sarah are worried that David might have been responsible for this. And she's like, Audrey's like, no, he would never do that. He's not capable of doing anything like that. Which was a bonkers thing for Audrey to say, because she knows they're all mad in that family.
Yeah.
And all of them could
David
do anything.
David has got form for
David not only stole
less
money
than sensible
from
decisions.
you, he pushed his mum down the stairs, he went on an axe rampage, and he also covered up somebody being murdered in that very house that caught on fire.
Yeah, but he certainly wouldn't burn down his own house for insurance.
Even though he Googled it earlier in the week.
Oh yeah,
Audrey.
this gets brought up on... it was today's episode, wasn't it? We find
Wednesday.
out, I think. Was it Wednesday or was it Tuesday that we find out that he's been Googling
I didn't know what you
arson?
meant by today, because today's Friday.
Today is Friday, yeah, as
So,
we record.
we get one of these very rare transitions to another day on Tuesday. So
Love
it's
it.
the next day. What day is it? Don't ask questions. We don't know. The Platt
Won't
house
be a problem next year.
is looking a bit.
Oh yeah, this is the scene where David's standing outside the front of the house, and they've done a good job with it, haven't they?
They proper set it on fire.
They proper did. It's charred. It's got boarded up windows. They're not moving back into that.
Not anytime soon.
No. What's kind of your thoughts about it, actually? The fact that the classic house, one of the most iconic, unchanging sets. Well, maybe a lot of them don't change, but I would say that in terms of
distinctive houses,
lounges, number 8 is up there.
I would say it's the most distinctive house, just because all the other houses look so the same.
I think that maybe
Jack and Vera's cladding.
I might put Ken's lounge as being fairly iconic.
No, but I'm talking about exteriors.
Oh, exteriors maybe, but
I think it's the most distinctive house.
What does
The Platt's house.
No, but against
all the other
Jack
house.
and Vera's?
That's what I just said, though.
Okay. Interiors, though, that
Yeah, I get you.
lounge, that layout has been fairly unchanged for kind of... remind me, Gemma, when was it that those houses were built?
It was 1990, as I
1990.
clearly told you.
So those houses, 35 years, that set has
That
been
was
in
supposed
action.
to be an amazing fact that I revealed, that it was an anniversary of the time that they were built.
Yeah, sorry.
I messed it up.
So I wonder whether... from what we saw of the fire when the fireman was going through and rescuing Max, the general structural integrity of it was still fairly
they
there.
can't really get rid of it because it's attached to another house.
Yeah, I know, but are we going to see something like we did with Emily Bishop's house when the Baileys moved in, and it is completely unrecognisable?
Are they going to change?
Never has there been. Well, maybe there has. I think that the flat above the corner shop definitely looks different than it used to.
But listen, are they going to do what they did with the Rovers and change the direction of the staircase?
Oh yeah, maybe.
See? Could do, couldn't they?
I think I'd quite like them to have a radical change, because it shows that they're recognising that things don't have to stay the same, however iconic they are. Like when the Rovers has been done up in recent years, it's always kind of looked the same.
It's been a joke.
It? After the Rovers fire, yes, they maybe changed the colour of the wallpaper, but it kind of looked exactly the same. And then when Jenny and Johnny took over, they were laughing about rebranding it, weren't they? But no, it looked exactly the same, really.
Well, that was the joke.
Yeah, I know, of course. But I think I wouldn't mind it too much if they changed it, just to give me something different to look at.
But I can't see...
Gail's left. Let's start a new era.
What could they really do?
Well, maybe. Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't want it to be like a swanky place. It has to look like, a working class family house.
I suppose with Emily's, the big difference was that she had the front parlour and the back room kind of knocked into one, and then the stairs. The Bailey's house, they had the stairs going a completely different way.
They've got a switchback, which wasn't
absolutely different. Yeah.
Because the thing is, honestly, I think that they would like. The fashion now is to have open plan.
Yeah.
And you could make it look like a kind of normal-ish, swanky, reasonably swanky house, but it wouldn't suit that family. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I can't imagine
I'm just kind of interested
David
to
and
see
Shona living in a Mrs. Hinch house full of like, crushed velvet grey and mirrored.
But the fact that it was decorated for, I'm sure it has been decorated since 1990, but it feels like it hasn't. So this was Gail and Martin's decision for what the house should look like. I'd quite like to see some kind of modernisation that would suit David and Shona's tastes.
Yeah, I would love to. I bet the set designers are excited.
Well, yeah, exactly. The chance to redevelop this very iconic set. It's like with number one. At the moment, you've got a couple of McDonald's pictures up on the wall, haven't you? But it's really still just Ken's house.
Yeah.
And they seem like terrified to change it until Ken pops his clogs. But, it feels like it's going to be a while before we see that anyway, doesn't it? I'm not expecting them to be moving in there for a good few months.
It doesn't... I don't know what they're going to do. They're not going to live with Audrey.
I love how everyone who went on the Corrie tour in the past couple of months were told that you couldn't take a photo of the Platts house.
But they still did.
They still did. There were some pictures of the burnt out Platts house that leaked on social media. But I love how they still got the security guards there saying, no, you're not taking any pictures of that. No way. No. Literally, it was like Fort Knox. They just can't take... You can't do it. But it must have been quite exciting to have been on the tour and seen it. And it's... We've not... when did we do the tour last? In August? And like probably by the time we go there again, it'll all be... fixed.
Well, this is going to be a spoiler again, isn't it? People are going to know when the house is done up.
Yeah. But you're not going to know I'm expecting the outside of the house to look pretty much the same. Anyway, what else happened on Tuesday?
Well, I don't think this would ever happen now with the budget problems that ITV have got, unless this is what's causing it. But if you really wanted to do something... We're obliged to say,
reportedly, at this
allegedly,
time.
You really could say... Oh, well, the Platt fire, it caused structural integrity loss to the whole lot, and they've all got to come down and then put something else in there.
Just imagine.
How bold would that be?
Yeah. They did it when number 7 collapsed in the 60s, didn't they?
Well,
they didn't have anyone living there for a while. Is this going to be an empty shell for...
Could be.
For years.
Quite a while.
One less set to have.
Budget cuts.
Yeah.
Set fire to a house.
Yeah.
Saves money in the long run.
Yeah.
Right, so, David's looking at the husk of a house and thinking, oh dear. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Shona and Lauren are at Max's bedside, and Shona's suspicious of what David is up to. And when Leanne sees David in the street, she's like, oh, really sorry about what happened. He's like, sorry, I've got something to do. Rushes off. So Leanne goes into the pub to see Tracy, who's dropping off some clothes for the poor Platts. And Leanne tells her about Toya. Oh, she could even die. Don't tell anyone I threatened to kill her, will you? Please, Tracy. Kevin and Debbie still don't know where Abby is. They don't know what to do at this point. And then Debbie asks him, do you think that she did it? But before he can answer, Wendy calls because Abby's picked Alfie up first thing that morning. She seemed very on edge and jittery, and that was over an hour ago. So now they're both missing. Mm-hmm. Then David's walking along outside the road, and he sees the undertaker's. The door has been pried open. So he pushes it open, sneaks inside, and he doesn't realise that Logan's there, isn't he?
Yeah. He's having a loiter behind
He's
a
loitering. So David gets his phone.
This is the grand capturing of Logan after all these weeks.
Master criminal.
Yes.
I don't know how they outwitted him. So David gets his phone out and he sneakily puts it onto voice record mode. And then he tries to bait Logan into admitting that he set the fire. But he did it in such a clumsy way that if Logan had actually done it, he wouldn't have admitted it anyway. But he won't take the bait. He just says, I'm not here for any of that. I wanted to see my dead brother who's lying at the back of this very funeral parlour.
Do you think that, silly move, Logan?
It's a waste of electricity, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
to have somebody in the fridge for this long.
There's been an arson around the corner. It's probably going to be swarming with police, so I would probably steer clear of it,
It depends on whether he's just given up at this point.
And also, maybe you would. Maybe it's just me. I'd say, why would you want to see your dead brother? I know you stabbed him. Do you just want to say sorry? I don't know. If I was Logan, I'd probably be out the country by this point.
I've never felt the need to see a dead body, but I know it's important to some people. It depends on what his background is.
Maybe down the Paul Robeson, that's how you do it.
Different cultures and different groups of people have different...
Oh, I know, I totally know. But yeah, it was a convenient way to get Logan hauled into the police, wasn't it? It didn't particularly work for me that's what he did.
Maybe if I stabbed my brother, I might want to see him.
You reckon?
Dead. Just to make sure.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah. No, I haven't, brother. Right, so...
What brought the knife? It was that Dylan. What a rat, hey?
Yeah. Right, so David's is being missed, isn't he, by Sarah, Bethany and Shona in the flat, and they don't understand where he is. Why isn't he with Max? Why isn't he anywhere? And Bethany says, well, why is... I'm not surprised if he's going after Logan. And Shona says... No, we're not settling scores. This is about Max. And so Sarah says, I'm going to find David. So she does somehow, doesn't she?
Yeah, she finds him later.
Meanwhile, Abby's in the car. She's got Alfie in the car with her, but she's in a traffic queue, in a traffic jam. There's never been any traffic jams before, unless they're doing a story about it.
They're doing an environmental awareness story, yeah.
So she's just sort of crying and talking to Alfie. And again, could have had him round in the back of the car with Alfie, but never mind. Roy spots her crying and kind of knocks on the window, and she just dissolves into tears, doesn't she, completely?
Again.
In the pub, Steve finds Leanne and says, don't worry about starting the fire. Just tell everyone you weren't there. And she says, well, I was at Ollie's grave. Can you please tell everybody that we were there together so that I can have an alibi? So then...
What are you giggling about?
I'm just giggling because this is just very bitty now, isn't it?
This was the problem with this story.
This was all the stories in one, which is why it sounds a bit more jumpy than a normal recap.
It's all right, you're doing a grand job.
So Sarah finds Todd in the pub and tells him that the door was open of the undertaker's. Meanwhile, Logan realises that David's recording him, and he lunges at him like, oh, you idiot. And then he knees David in the ghoulies, but then Sarah and Todd turn up with a policeman because they worked out what was going on. I think that there was a bit earlier that Todd was saying that they've got some CCTV or something in the undertaker's in case the bodies come alive.
Yeah, exactly. Just for zombie apocalypse
like there is
purposes.
a seance going on, and I want to make sure that they don't reanimate any corpses because we get in so much trouble when people go missing.
Yeah.
So, he gets arrested.
That's the end of Logan.
And Logan says, I didn't start the fire. It was David.
So at this point, how sure were you that Logan had done it? Because I think pretty much by the time this scene had ended, I was like, yeah, I don't think he did it.
Yeah, I don't. When he said he didn't do it, I believed him.
He seemed, I'm
very gullible.
As strange as his story was to me, that he was the only reason he was there was to see his dead brother on the slab. It felt like this was kind of checking off. You know, we've all got the list of suspects, and this was like, nope, it wasn't him. You thought it was going to be him, didn't you?
It's just because this is a soap, right? If it was him, it would have been the end of the story, and they would have gone, well, then we'll take you into justice. And everyone would have gone, oh, phew.
I think with Logan as well, you know, we saw when this was going to be filmed back in November, and David was still, you know, we know that he'd stolen the money and everything by then. So as soon as we saw the Platts house was going to be on fire, and we'd have to wait 2-3 months for it to happen, in the back of my head, I'd already thought, well, this is clearly related to the money. This was clearly Logan or Matty that did it. But it didn't take long for me to go, okay, the suspects are...
It could be anybody.
Could be anybody.
Yeah, it was funny because, like you said, did go into this week expecting certain things to definitely happen. Like, Logan's going to set the house on fire and Max will die. And neither of those things happened. Very exciting. I like to be surprised.
I'm glad Max didn't die, because just thinking about how much crying we'd
die.
see from Lauren there. He could still die. Could still die.
I
think he's going to be okay.
Roy brings Abby back to number 13. David shows up at the hospital, and Shane is mad because he abandoned her, and he tells her that he had to find Logan and make sure that everyone knows it was him that set the fire, even though I blame myself for what happened. So she realises that he's very sad, and they have a hug. Then they go into Max's room, and she gets a phone call, Shona, from Kit, who says that Logan's definitely sure it wasn't him that did the fire, so whoever did it is still at large.
So at this point, the main suspect list really was basically, the official suspect list was Abby and Leanne, wasn't it? I mean, there were some outliers with it being maybe Sam or Lily, but
or Hope.
Or Hope, yeah, one of the kids. But they were really kind of wanting us to think it was one or the other of them.
Yeah, it's interesting that they bothered to show us somebody, you know, actually putting the matches through the door, because they could have just left it like, oh, was it even the candles? Did Toya really blow all the candles out? Was it Toya's fault? That could have been another easy...
But the fire was clearly burning at the front door, wasn't it? The main source of the fire was
I know, but
in
that would have
entrance.
been something that we would have had to have worked out.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean?
I guess.
And then the Corrie people would have been like, why do they keep talking about Toya setting it with a candle when it was clearly set? You know, that's what they like to do.
Anyway.
Right, so Kit also is investigating Leanne as a suspect, because he sees Leanne and Steve in the booth together and asks her where she was, and she has to admit that she and Toya weren't on the best of terms, but she had never started the fire, and she was at her son's grave with Steve. And Steve actually volunteers this.
Yeah, he says, "Oh, I was with her."
Yeah, I was with her. So he's jumped in there.
I think he's opening for a round 2 in the boudoir, and that's why he's going along with it.
Right. So in the hospital, Toya is beginning to awaken. Back in the pub, Tracy is chatting to Jenny about Leanne, and then Jenny drops Steve in it, mentioning that he was with Leanne the other night, downing shots together, and Tracy did not realise this was going on, and she gets really mad and tells Leanne that she's guilty as sin. She's furious at the pair of them, because this is when they were supposed to be... Well, this is when Steve was lying about not taking Amy's phone call. So not only is Tracy mad about Leanne and Steve getting together behind her back, but she's also mad that Steve was distracted.
I'm kind of sad that this is the end of this beautiful friendship that had been blossoming between Leanne and Tracy.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Then Tim makes it even worse by coming in and saying, oh, Leanne, yeah, I dropped her off at the grave in the morning.
The graveyard, yeah.
The graveyard. Well, the grave.
So, yeah. So
which is in the graveyard.
I can't remember whether it was revealed or unveiled or whatever what Leanne was actually doing during the time of the fire. Wasn't it basically just a case of her saying, I don't know where I was?
No, she said she's completely blacked out.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think...
And I always thought when people said when they drink, they black out, I always thought they meant I was unconscious, I fell asleep. But they don't mean that. They mean I didn't remember what happened. Right.
So
which really confused. That I realised that has been a massive gap in my knowledge for, a good... I'm not saying how old I am.
Yeah, so the thing with this is, Leanne was never even on my radar, and at any point during the week did I think that this was Leanne. Why would it be? Because she didn't know...
She didn't know Toya was there.
No, she did. Sorry, she did see Toya going inside, but she didn't know that Toya was alone, knocked out on the kitchen floor. I don't think that Leanne. I know she burnt the passports, and I'm sure that's going to get brought up because on the end of Wednesday's episode, she's been hauled into the police station, hasn't she? So her arsonistic tendencies will no doubt be brought to light. But there was not a cat in hell's chance that she actually set that fire there. So in my mind, it was any stories or scenes where it was being, the threads were being unravelled about also what was Leanne doing and the false alibis and all that. For me, I was like, no, nothing they could say here is going to make me think that Leanne did it. Were you on the same page there?
Just because of the way stories get made, I don't suspect her. Because it was too obvious. It's going to be someone that we're not supposed to think is a suspect.
Well, yeah.
So, at the hospital, David and Sarah and everybody are starting to think it was Abby that started this fire. And Sarah apologises to David for accusing him of burning down his own house and says, I know you're stupid, but you're not that stupid, are you? Then she takes his phone so she can call a taxi and for some reason starts looking at his Google search history.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
Vogel.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the hell is this? And it looks like he's been looking up arson and house insurance on the phone. And he hasn't even used like your private whatchamacallit.
No, come on, yeah, incognito mode.
Yeah, incognito mode.
That's made for people who are trying to investigate
but
arson,
this reminds
Nothing
me
else.
Of the Casey Anthony case where she did not get found guilty of the murder, but partly because I can't remember which one it was, but I think the computer forensics people looked on her search history on Internet Explorer, but not on Firefox. And Firefox was full of very incriminating search history. Look it up. Anyway, so he's like, yeah, I did look it up. I did, but I didn't go through with it, so I didn't bother bringing it up. And she doesn't believe him, and she's asking him, where were you? And he says, I'm not telling you where I was. It's none of your business. Then we get Kevin trying to get Abby to let him phone Dr. Gaddis because they've, like you said, Roy's brought him round to the house and she's still in a state. And then a knock at the door comes and they think it's Dr. Gaddis come on her lunch break, bless her, but it's not, it's Kit. So Dr. Gaddis has made a trip for nothing now. She's going to get there and nobody's going to be home.
Yeah.
So Kit's there and he says, I've got to take you down the station because Toya, she's woken up. The first thing she did was dob you in because she's a big dobber. She dobs you in for social services. She dobs you into the police. She'll never stop. She's a snitch. She's made a statement that you were at number 8 before the fire. And the thing is,
she probably has got stitches, hasn't she?
Yeah. If only she'd listened to that. Meanwhile,
I kind of don't blame Toya. As she was being very sympathetic and angelic and perfect, wasn't she? She was trying to be helpful to Abby and understand. You're going through some trauma at the moment. Let me help you out. But she literally could have nearly died
because of Abby.
Yeah.
So in the hospital, David is with Max. Says, "I need you to wake up, please."
That seemed like a very final thing. That was Gemma saying, "Thank goodness for that. I finished Tuesday's episode."
Too bitty for me.
So yeah, I very much enjoyed that episode. It was Wednesday's one, like you said, where it felt like it was just lots of people finding out the same thing.
But listen, I did point that out, and it did after a while. It did kind of make me laugh when I was watching it. Like, this is just a series of people finding stuff out, the same thing over and over again. But then I did think to myself, but I kind of like this because I do like seeing people's reactions and I do like scenes of just people talking to each other, and I don't think every single scene in Coronation Street needs to progress the plot somehow, and I do think that has been a kind of unwritten rule in Coronation Street for years, that every scene has to serve some kind of narrative purpose, and I don't think that really is. Like, you know, if you say what is Coronation Street, why is modern Corrie different from old Corrie? Why do people not like it anymore? What is really the reason? And I would say that I would say that it's too driven. And this Wednesday's episode was definitely one that wasn't driven in the same way. And I think also loads of people did say they liked this episode more than the others, especially people that didn't like the fire scenes very much.
Yeah, I have seen some
people seem
praise
to
for
like Wednesdays more. If you liked if you didn't like the fire, you like Wednesdays.
It was
more.
just a bit policey for me. The other thing was, I forgot earlier when I said that by this stage in the episode, in the week's runnings, there was only 2 suspects, and it was Abby and Leanne. Actually, David there was still a bit of mystery there about what he was up to, wasn't there? And
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
he did go
going into
somewhere.
Wednesday's episode, I was very intrigued about what David was up to. And the actual reveal that what was that he was doing? He was being a getaway driver. That was a bit odd. It always has to be extreme, doesn't it?
It wasn't like he was getting an early Valentine's Day present or something.
Yeah. But my problem with this was by the time Wednesday's episode had rolled around, I'd already convinced myself that none of them had done it. It was Max. And this is where I am at this stage, ready to go into a new week of Coronation Street. I am, pretty 99% sure here that Max is the arsonist. What do you think?
Me too.
Because it just makes sense, really, doesn't it? Because there's no way it was Leanne. Abby would not do it. She was crazy that she left Toya there, but she ran away. She was ashamed of what she'd done. I don't believe she'd be like, better cover the evidence and set a fire. And no way would they have Abby, a supposedly sympathetic character, literally murder Toya. Not a chance that would happen. David was, there was a slight possibility that it was him and his dodgy Andy mate, but Max was a very likely theory. And if you go back, there aren't really any clues, but I think it was Friday's episode last week, you had that scene in the bistro where David and Shona were discussing or maybe joking about the idea of claiming on the home insurance and setting the house on fire, and the camera pans across to Max, who just does a little reaction for just a second, and I think that was the cogs in his brain twirling, thinking, is that what cogs do? Turning, twisting, whatever, thinking I could do that. And if you look at the scene
where he did go,
And there was the scene on Monday's episode where Sally runs into the bistro going, oh no, there's a fire. They were at that point singing Happy Birthday to Sarah, I think, and Max really didn't look into it. He looked like he had the weight of the world on his mind.
Watched that.
And he doesn't react in a way that you would react if you'd just been told your house is on fire.
But I think everyone just really hated the party.
Yeah, he was over it by that point. So I think that Max has thought he's done the right thing here. It was a dumb thing to do. It was clearly an idiotic thing to do. But I think he thought that he was trying to help out his family by committing this crime.
And then they thought that they could pin it on Logan.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a perfect crime, really.
It makes a lot of sense. So I thought that...
And we know he's got poor judgment.
Exactly.
And we know he's not afraid to commit the odd crime or two.
Bit dumb that his girlfriend's just been let out of prison and he does something that's not got the tiny chance of him getting back into prison. But yeah, I was waiting throughout the episode for him to wake up and reveal that he did it. And I'm a bit gutted because, we're theorising now. I think at this stage, I'd like to have known. It would have made a nice ending to the week.
That it was him.
If we'd found out, if all this... Because now we're going to have more of Monday's episode, and Leanne's been hauled into the station, and there's going to be interviews with her, and I'll be sitting there thinking, this is all for nothing. It was Max. So I would have liked to have known at this point that it was Max.
But... on Monday, it would be even worse if you knew it was Max, because Leanne is still going to get questioned, and they're still going to keep going on with their suspects. They're not going to just stop, because only we would know, not the police.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, it depends who he confesses it to, doesn't it?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Hope's next live stream,
Don't
Max
even know.
confession.
He gets the Ouija board to spell it out, because he's too shy.
So yeah, Wednesday's episode, David's mad at Shona because he wanted to get up to the hospital, I think, or get up to something, I can't remember, and she's let him sleep in because he's been through a tough time. She thinks that that's better for him. We learned that Max has made excellent progress. He's on the mend. The
further we got through this week, and the more they were like, oh, Max is definitely fine, I was like, that means he's gonna die.
Yeah. Also, we learn, well, they David learns from Shona that they've taken a suspect into custody, and she reckons it's Abby, and he has got his heart set on it being Logan. This, I suppose, was the other reason why it couldn't possibly have been David, because it wasn't. When we saw him with Logan, I'm trying to record this confession. Why would he do that if he or Andy had been responsible for the fire? He clearly
you can't trick
believed
somebody into thinking they set a fire, can you?
He clearly believed it was Logan,
Yeah.
which means it can't possibly have been him. And even like
Yeah,
Shona, I saw some people theorising that Shona had maybe done it, but that would have been impossible considering how she was throwing accusations around everywhere.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Yeah, no, the way she was acting, she asked David straight, "Did you set the fire?" And I totally believed her as she was asking. She wasn't just saying it as so that she's got an alibi later.
Michael, we've both watched so many episodes of The Traitors. Even if you're a traitor, you have to accuse other people of being a traitor. You know that.
This is true. Okay, so we cut to the hospital again now, and Sam's showing Toya his accelerated dragon, which is apparently some
I thought
kind
that was
of
something you do with a vape.
Just chess move, apparently. He's still worried that his candles started the fire, but she's like, "Look, you're not on the suspect list, Sam. Don't worry about it.
No one thinks it was you.
The heat's off you.
You're that
Don't
exciting.
worry." Yeah. Sarah, Audrey and Todd are in the salon later, and Audrey don't want to stress Gail out by telling her what's happened. This is Corrie Legend explanation about why she didn't come back. Audrey just doesn't want to tell her. Is that a good move?
I don't know what the point of this is, because we know Gail's not coming back.
We know that Gail's not coming back,
fact
but
that
in the world
Audrey-
of the show...
I know, but the fact that Audrey said this would normally lead to, they can never find out. And then, of course, they're going to find out. And which would mean Gail would turn up and go, "Why didn't you tell me, ma'am? I can't believe it." She's obviously not going
Yeah, are they going to all... Is this the new Platt family pact? Are they going to take the secret
they just
to
never
the
tell
grave?
her that the house caught on fire, because the alternative is that she does find out and then doesn't care.
Yeah, that's true. Everything's fine, ma'am. Don't worry.
They shouldn't have even
because I wasn't going to
mentioned
come
her.
anyway.
I just don't think they should have mentioned her, because.
No, I think that they mentioned her because they would have had fans going, "Why hasn't Gail?"
But
why
didn't she? They just say Gail's devastated for us.
She's
But
really,
she's not
really
coming
devastated,
back.
but she likes France too much.
She loves the cheese.
Yeah. As well, the other thing with Gail, I imagine that because she's only recently moved, they're probably on fairly regular FaceTimes with her over there.
Yeah.
And
don't want to see you again.
It's probably going to be quite difficult to hide what's happened.
Yeah, why are you never at home?
Oh well, you can't.
It is a bit sick. I don't understand
when
why
characters
they
leave
opened a
soaps,
can
you
of
have to
worms,
suspend
didn't they?
belief a little bit. When they got rid of Gail, can of worms open there. Why wasn't it someone else's house that burned down? Could have been if it was Brian and Kathy's flat. No, sorry, Kathy's not there anymore, is it? If it was Brian's flat that burned down, nobody would have cared one jot.
But it is really odd. It really is odd that they knew that Gail was leaving and they still decided to set fire to her house after she left.
I think it's a nice new start. That's been Gail's house for 35 years.
Okay, I get what you mean. It just seems like it could have been part of her leaving story. But maybe they said it to Helen Worth. She's like, no, I'm not doing a fire stunt.
That could have been. She could have gone off in a fire.
No, I'm not doing it.
I wonder whether that was ever on the cards.
No, I don't mean die in a fire, but just be like, I can't stay here. My house is burnt. I'm going to France.
Well, maybe when they had David saying, "Well, I'm gonna number 8 is clearly under attack. I'm gonna go and live with Nick," and Shona's like, "Well, I'm living with Sarah." Gail takes it to the extreme, saying, "I'm moving to France." Because I don't think that Logan's going to get me there.
But do you see what I mean? Do you not think it's weird that we're starting in a new year and then within the space of a month, Gail's left to a different country and her house burned down, and neither of those two things have got anything to do with each other? Do you not think that is a bit of a weird coincidence?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Look, Andy comes into the salon looking for David, and he's I'm going to say intimidatingly enigmatic about what he wants him for, and he says,
we never find out, do we?
Well, I think it was just to do with this robbery that we later find out that he was involved with. So, interview scene, Abby in the station, Kit's got her at the table, and she basically tells him everything that happened between her and Toya on Monday's episode. But she says,
did she tell the truth?
She says, "My memories are foggy. I don't remember it all. We've been talking about Toya reporting me to the social services. Kit saying, look, you clearly assaulted Toya and then torched the house to cover your tracks. I don't know whether he really thought that's what it was, but I suppose if you're a police
Bad
officer,
cop.
you have
They're
to...
doing good cop, bad cop.
Yeah. He drives her a little bit insane, doesn't he? Steve, meanwhile, you got him confronting Leanne about lying about being at the grave, and she says, I can't actually remember where I was. And now Steve's faced with the reality that he's given a false alibi to the police.
Whoops.
So that could get him in trouble. And Steve's already been in and out of that police station a number of times over his life, so he doesn't really want to get himself dirty here. Then you got Sarah coming round, visiting Todd at the Undertaker's and saying, Andy then, what do you know about him? Oh, I can't remember how the conversation starts up, but very handily, Todd remembers Andy from being at Paul's rave.
Yeah, I think he probably was
really?
actually there.
I don't think he was. I don't know why he would be, but it was enough for Todd to be able to explain to us that yes, Andy is a naughty man and he went to prison with David and Paul, and they say yes, he definitely seems a little bit of a wrong un.
For Crim.
Yeah, Debbie's with Kevin at the garage later. He's fretting about Abby and saying, "Oh, Abby, there's a jerry can missing, which is what you carry petrol in."
You keep saying this like
jerry can.
You keep saying this.
I literally have never heard that phrase before this week.
Really?
I don't think I have. Maybe I have. I don't know.
It's called a jerry can because during World War II, we'd throw them at the jerrys to try to expel them.
Oh, is that right? Is it?
Yeah, it was part of Dad's army. It's a big plot in Dad's army.
Okay. Audrey's trying to reassure David, meanwhile, that everything's going to be okay. That was quite a nice little scene. Audrey and David scenes are always up there. Sarah gives him a ring and says, he says that I'm at the cafe, and then she hangs up. Nix then comes striding in saying, what the heck have you been playing at? So he's found out that he's been up to no good with dodgy crims. Abby next. She's still being harangued by Kit. He's as bad as the copper that harassed Stu into confessing to murder all those years ago, I'm going to say. He's chasing this lead that he's got. And then, of course, if you push Abby too far at the moment, she's going to start hallucinating. So in pops Seb into her vision. She's seeing that Seb's interviewing her, then Mason's there, and all the while Kit's saying, "Oh look, I know you had a tough life, and you wanted rid of Toya, didn't you? You thought that Alfie would be taken away, the same as your other kids were taken away from you." And Abby's like going, "Oh my gosh," she's totally stressing out. Swain swans in, stops the interview, and says, "Officer Green, you're intimidating the witness far too much here. Let's have a break." And then Abby's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening to me." Nick, meanwhile, is doing a bit of interrogating of his own because he's there with David saying, what's the deal with you and Andy? What you been up to? And David's like, "I promise, yeah, I have been doing something dodgy here, but I did not firebomb the house. It's Harvey, pure and simple. He done it. He must be. Harvey, Logan, it's got to be." And Nick's like, no, I don't believe you. That's something you're not telling me. Then we go and see a little bit. You're right, this is very jumpy back and forth, isn't it? Leanne, Steve, she's trying to remember what she was up to on Monday night. She remembers Toya going to the Platts. She remembers throwing a vodka bottle at her. She remembers waking up in Victoria Gardens with a box of matches in her pocket. She says, "I'm going to light a candle for Oliver, honestly." But Steve is like, I don't know. I think maybe you could have done this. All of this episode was just people suspecting characters who I didn't think had any chance of being the arsonists. That's the problem with this one for me.
Andy Garland was in the rave. Played by the same man.
Was he seriously?
Yes.
Oh, well, there we go. Fair enough. I'm wrong. He was there.
So, yeah, they set this up ages ago. Because that's where, they've set this up ages ago.
Fair enough. Okay. I will admit my wrongness there. Anyway, what else do we have? Blimey, we've got so much left of this to go. Kev, meanwhile...
Max did it. The end.
Max did it. It was him, wasn't it? Kev's checking the garage CCTV and he sees somebody having a loiter about there looking for this can. And he's like, well, this clearly isn't Abby because she knows exactly where we keep our arsonist supplies.
This was so tenuous to me because I get the logic, but the CCTV showed somebody just walking up to the can and taking it. It didn't look to me like someone was looking.
Oh, I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
But yeah,
it didn't prove what he said it did.
The jacket had a very notable.
It had some kind of. It looked like maybe one of those tribal tattoos.
It's like a skull with a snake or something.
Oh, I
wasn't
didn't
it?
see it probably.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it would have made more sense if he'd said Abby would never wear something like that. She's very fashionable.
But this is the only thing that's making me think, was it Max? Because when we had the scene on Monday's episode where Logan walks past them all in the middle of it, he is wearing a black outfit, but we don't get to see what's on the back of it.
Maybe.
But Max was wearing something completely different. So unless he went and...
Maybe...
was this the sort of thing that Max would even own? I don't think so.
Maybe Logan was just about to put the matches through the letterbox and Max came over and pushed him over and said, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to set the fire for insurance purposes, not for revenge. Bugger off, Logan.
I don't see why...
That is the kind of stupid thing that Max would do.
I don't see why Max would feel the need to dress up for this, because he didn't know that the CCTV would catch him. I suppose, if he wants to put his hood up, like Harry Bizzanoni sneaking into the Corrie set, I found him. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel like the sort of thing that he would own. That's the only thing that's making me think it's possibly not him. That's my 1%.
Just do think to myself that if I was going to set fire to my own house, I wouldn't do it through the front door, opening onto a public road.
No, you'd probably go around the back.
I'd go and set fire to something in the garden.
Yeah, although it's a good job we didn't, because if he'd gone through the back door, then our Toya probably would be a little bit more charcoal at this point. Yeah. Okay. So Shona turns up at the hospital. David's there as well, and she says, "Look, I want to know everything. What have you been getting up to? How can I help you if I'm still in the dark about this?" And he says, "Look, I can't really tell you, but I 100% promise you that me and Andy have got nothing to do with this fire." And then someone comes over to them and says, "We're going to reduce Max's sedation."
And he was going to die.
No, he's fine. Meanwhile, you got Kevin arriving at the garage, telling Kit. He arrives at the police station, saying to Kit, "I've got some clues here. It wasn't Abby." And Kit's like, "Well, I need a copy of that video."
Can I just say how much I adore how kind of annoyed Kit looks every time someone brings him a clue. He's like,
more paperwork to do.
You think this is exciting, right? But this is not. This is 3 forms I've got to fill out now.
Well, this whole scene was that, wasn't it? Because you got Kevin saying about the video, and then Nick strides in and say, "You need to look into David. He was the one what done it." Leanne's there in the background.
I did it.
She was about to say that I maybe did it, and then she kind of hears Nick coming in and slinks
saying
back
it was
out
David.
again.
It's like, oh, maybe it was David.
So Abby's talking with Swain later.
They've just can't move for suspects in the space of one scene. They've got Kevin going, "Here's a mystery suspect." Nick going, "It's David." Leanne going, "It was me." "Oh, no, never mind." And then Abby in with
meanwhile,
Swain.
she's already there. Yeah, and Max is just in.
Kids
peacefully dreaming away.
Kit and Lisa are like, "This never happens. We normally don't know who did anything, and now we've got 4 people we can pin this on."
Let's just say they all did it.
Yeah, should we say did it?
Yeah.
I've been watching that OJ documentary. It can just spit anyone up.
Toya's made a formal accusation against Abby. Swain reveals to her later, and Abby's like, "Look, I don't know why I did it." She doesn't want to reveal, and this has been the case throughout the whole of this story, that she doesn't want to admit her weakness, and she thinks that she's going bonkers seeing all these dead people around, so she can't say it in under police interview, can she?
I think that DS Swain is primed to believe whatever Abby says here, because I don't think she likes Toya.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think Swain's like, "Abby, did you hit her with a ball? Good for you.
I can help you cover this up. All you need to do
Don't
is
say
give me the
anything.
wink."
Just say no comment, all right? And then I'll start the video. I'll start the recording now. Ready?
Well, eventually, Abby has got no choice, because Swain says, "Look, so she's a sensitive type, is Swain. She knows." She says, "Something's triggered you, hasn't it? I think that something's..."
Good
and then
call.
Abby's like, "You're right. I've been seeing Mason and Seb. They're dead, and they've been popping up as ghosts."
And then Swain's like, "Are they behind me right now? Are they in the room? Are they in the room? Oh my god, I hate ghosts. Oh god."
No, she's what she wants. She's hoping to see Becky, isn't she?
Aww.
Yeah, maybe it could happen. Yeah, genuinely
Why
could
not?
happen.
It could, yeah. Why the hell not?
But then another officer comes in and whispers into her ear and says, "This is quite urgent," and says that
You're
off
here.
the hook, because we've seen somebody looking around for a can of petrol and it wasn't you.
It doesn't prove anything that the person in the CCTV did anything.
So
Why
you're
are they taking
suggesting that
Kevin's?
possibly somebody could have taken the can and then Abby found it and set it on fire?
It doesn't mean anything. It just means that Kevin's got a video of somebody looking around for a petrol can.
Well, I don't know. It seems like pretty
It doesn't mean
I think
anything.
if I was on the jury...
It's not like, well, we must terminate this interview territory, is it?
Well,
I'd still be
Abby's-
asking her. She's clearly got...
Abby's having a bit of a moment anyway, isn't she? She probably needs a break at this point.
She could have been disorientated from the fact she whacked Toya onto the ground.
So the next revelation is that David has been a getaway driver. He finally admits to Shona, yep, fair cop, I can't keep it quiet anymore. I've been a dodgy getaway. What on earth? This really felt like it was going to a bit more of an extreme than it needed to.
Grand Theft Auto is paid off.
Yeah.
He can't wait for GTA 6 to come out.
GTA 6 is coming out now, yeah, so he just has to do it
Practicing.
himself. Yeah, he said nobody was there, nobody got hurt. Victimless crime. No one's going to find out.
This is really silly.
I think it was a little bit silly. David has, done extreme things before, but...
So he's obviously taking this on as a side hustle with Andy to try to pay off his debts, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, whatever.
I already at this point didn't think it was David, but this kind of completely crossed him off the suspects list for me. I think it was supposed to. I don't think he would lie about something like that.
Well, this is what I always say, though, don't I? Mm. When you're doing a lie, say a lie that's so outrageous and makes you look bad that nobody would think it was a lie.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we got another Leanne scene with Steve.
Leanne, Shona's not happy about it.
Yeah, clearly.
She's mad.
Leanne has Steve, and she says, "Look, I was gonna." She says, "I went to the police station, but I didn't do anything about it. I was gonna change my story about being at the graveyard, but then I didn't go through with it because it seemed like they're having a bit of a day there, and I didn't want to add to their.
Kit was really mad about doing the forms. Yeah. You don't understand. Yeah. He's so tall. I'm scared of him.
We see Abby and Kevin later talking about her visions, and she's just saying, "Oh, I can't help but see Seb and Mason, and it feels so real, and it's like they're really there." And Kevin, good for him. He's got his own problems at the moment. He's going to get his results next week, probably, isn't he? He says, "Look, I'm gonna help you get all the support you need. So it's going to be fine." Good old Kevin, always reliable. Swain comes over and tells Abby that she's being released under investigation. So it's all cracking there.
Just don't push anyone else over.
Mm-hmm. Steve comes into number one later, sits down next to Tracy and says, "Look, I've done something really stupid." Of course you have, Steve. You always... When was the ever time you ever did something that wasn't
Let
stupid?
me know when you do something smart.
Yeah. He says, "Look, I gave Leanne an alibi yesterday." And Tracy's like, "What? You dunce. Why did you do something like that?"
Didn't he say something... Didn't she say something about shagging a witch or something?
But I think there was a line along those lines. Yeah, but the Tracy kind of gets herself up in a state and believes that Leanne is now suspect number one, doesn't she?
Yeah,
her old companion in arms. Yeah, David
sort of thing she'd do.
David's at the police station with Kit later and saying, "Look, this was Harvey that did this. You need to go and investigate that." And Kit says, "Well, Logan has an alibi. Actually, he couldn't have possibly been there to do it. I don't know what that alibi would be because he was in the vicinity not long afterwards. But never mind. Anyway, he says, why would your brother accuse you of torching the house? Because this is Nick, he currently thinks that it must be him." And David says, "Well, yes, I did do a bit of online research about it, but I was over in Denton when it happened." And
what were you doing there?
No comment.
Oh.
Yeah. And but he says, ring Andy Garland, check my alibi. Nick and Sarah, meanwhile, are at the hospital. Shona says David's been taken to the police station. Oh my gosh, this just goes on and on, doesn't it?
She tells them that he was the getaway driver, and they were like, "This is stupid." I love Nick's reaction to look, I'm done with this idiot. My brother's such an idiot.
He's toxic, he says.
Maybe he was a getaway driver. Maybe he's an arsonist. Either way, he's a lunatic, and I never want to speak to him again. And Sarah's just there going, "Oh my God, I can't believe all this."
This was David's fault. It did all start with David, didn't it? Have you seen how the picture on ITVX?
Oh yeah.
It's no longer Dylan and Mason loitering around a wall. It's now a very haggard looking David. It's kind of like my world is crashing down all around me.
I kind of thought that they do a very similar thing like they do on their website with this ITVX splash page or whatever you want to call it, that they just forget it existed and leave a picture up there, and we'd have Joel Deering looking at us for the next 5 years.
No, they change it,
but they're actually updating
it. Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't have a white outline around him though.
Sadly for David, when Kit comes back having spoken to Andy later, Andy's like, I don't know, I didn't have anything to do with David on the day of the fire. He's like, clearly doesn't want any involvement in this whatsoever, and he's happy to drop David in it as long as he's safe himself.
Well, Andy's like, David, you don't understand. I can't give you an alibi for another crime you didn't do for the crime that we were doing together. It's not how it works.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
and then David's like, right, anyway, I didn't do it. See you later.
David's
and Kit says,
once again.
You're not going anywhere.
Todd, meanwhile, hears from Jenny that David's been taken down the cop shop, and he says, no, they must have got it wrong. I don't believe this. And Tracy then pipes up, you're absolutely right, David didn't do it. It was Leanne.
I kind of love how chaotic this got, because it was just everyone going, oh no, it was definitely this person. It's definitely that person.
Weirdly, nobody has said, maybe it was Max.
No, well, it wouldn't be Max.
Kevin goes to Toya's hospital room later and says, look, Abby... We don't need her to go down to prison for this. She's quite a big character, actually. Can you just say that she maybe didn't do it, or let her get off the hook?
And Toya's like, no, I want to change the room for myself.
She's not in the mood for pity at the moment. I don't blame her, to be honest.
I'm not sharing a changing room with her anymore. I'm going to get rid of her and I'm going to get rid of Shona.
Yes.
And have it all to myself.
He's like, oh, please help me. She does, doesn't she? We find out at the end of the episode that Toya has indeed forgiven Abby because she's very...
Well, he gives her a sob story and says she's going through hard times and she's hallucinating and seeing her dead son. And then he says to her, we need your help. Which totally just plays on Toya's weakness.
Help.
Like, oh, what? I can be the goodie. Yes, that's my favourite.
So Shona's meanwhile trying to get rid of Nick, and she tells him about Tracy's outburst in the pub about Leanne. She clearly believes that it was Leanne who is responsible for this now as well. Then Nick says about David being arrested.
Nick's like, it wasn't.
So it's all dramatic.
It wasn't Leanne. It was David.
It was definitely David. And then finally, we get Max waking up. And rather than confessing and leaving the episode on a high, he just says, where's David? And we see him in the interview room. Or was he in the cell? I can't remember.
No, he's sitting in the interview room, which has been hastily converted into a cell.
Yes. And also, Leanne gets taken into the station.
She's been arrested.
She's arrested. David's arrested. Leanne is suspected but not arrested yet, I think.
I still do not know the answer to this. And I don't see why this wouldn't be the case. But can the police arrest multiple people simultaneously for the same thing?
Yeah, I think so.
But you're only allowed to hold them for a certain amount of time, aren't you?
24 hours, isn't it?
You can't convict people of the same crime.
If I was,
because that would be silly.
If I was arresting somebody, I wouldn't have. I arrested them on a Wednesday when the next episode isn't until Monday.
Because you can't interview them.
24 hours is up by a long way by the time then. Yeah. So anyway. That, at long last, was that. And yeah, you're right. It did feel an awful lot of that episode discussion was just... This is what it was like to watch the episode. Various people accusing. It was like, you did it. No, you did it. I'm going to... Guess what? So-and-so says that they did it. Let's arrest you. I didn't do it.
But on reflection, I liked it.
I just found it okay.
Okay.
And it was a lot to do with the fact that I'm very, very convinced that it was Max that did it.
I know, but you're ruining it now.
I know. I'm totally ruining it for myself. It's not Corrie's fault that's what I think.
But sometimes we're very confident and wrong, aren't we? I mean, quite often we are very, very confident about something we're sure, and then it's no, that's not what happened.
I just cannot believe that it was David or Abby or Leanne.
But there's no one else that would be satisfying if it turned out to be them.
No, the suspect list is narrow. So I hope that we find out on Monday who it is. So that's that story really. It was quite good.
I enjoyed it.
The characters, I love all the characters involved. I was just by Wednesday getting a little bit weary of it.
I want to know what everyone scored it on the Facebook group.
Yeah, I know.
Because there was a bit of a rebellion, wasn't there?
What?
On the Facebook group today.
Was there?
Well, the people discussing about the fire, and a lot of people very angry. They didn't like it at all, and then a few people saying I liked it.
Oh, okay, fine.
So we had a lot of discussion on the Facebook group about, but as usual, everyone was very nice to each other.
Let's get through these other stories.
Right, Amy,
we?
shall I do Amy?
I'm getting.
I know you seem over it.
Yeah.
So,
Amy's
Right, so Amy's
disappeared
still
last
missing,
week.
isn't she? Because the last time we
Yeah.
saw her, she'd lost her phone. She's trying to contact Steve, and he
Doesn't
is
think about-
shagging Leanne.
I like how they do bring up the fact that why didn't you just ring a taxi? And she's just like, well, it just didn't work out like
You
that.
don't buy a cow and milk yourself. What's the point of having a daddy's a taxi driver?
Yeah.
Right.
Premier
So
service,
she's
please.
walked all the way from Wilmslow,
Yeah, did you look that? It was about 5 hours.
from Salford to walk there. It's all the way down in Cheshire. It's like near Alderley Edge. It's 5 hours to walk.
She must have
No
been
wonder
pretty
she
cold.
looked tired.
Yeah.
So anyway, before that happens, they're missing. They don't know where Amy
They are
is.
seeking Amy.
And they think, oh, she's probably out with a mate or something. And then when Steve finds his phone, he's like, oh, there's a load of missed calls.
Oh, yeah. From
Amy.
That's
And
the most unbelievable thing of the
both
whole
of
thing.
them-
He didn't have his phone for about 12 hours
No,
at least.
people are like this. Tracy and Steve are not immediately alarmed like I would be, because they've seen so much in their life. They're not bothered about it.
Amy is a resilient girl.
Yeah.
She's smart.
She's like, if Amy went missing for a long time, I'd be like, where are the men of Weatherfield? They're probably all in a ditch. So she drags herself home, does Amy. Ardy's there, and she's just ignoring him. She's like a zombie. She crawls into the house. Tracy and Steve are very relieved to see her. She just goes upstairs for a nap. And this is when Steve tells Tracy that he was actually poorly and this is why he missed all the calls. And he also then tells Ardy in the corner shop about what happened to Amy. So Ardy checks in on her and says, like, why didn't you look for your keys? Where were your mates? And she has to admit what's happened to him and Tracy and Steve about seeing Aaron's dad at the club, and she's like, I can't believe how perfect his life is, and look at me. And Tracy's her usual vengeful self, and she's like, karma's gonna get him in the end.
There was mostly, just on this story, lots of nice little Amy and Ardy scenes, aren't there? But still no confession of love or anything between them. They're dragging it out. They were very, very close this week.
I think a better life lesson to learn is that not everyone gets their comeuppance, and you just have to deal with it. You can't just expect everybody that's wronged you to get arsoned. You know, it doesn't happen. Sadly, annoying people do. I mean, look at Elon Musk. He's rich.
Yeah, I know.
And he's a bit of a div, isn't he?
Yeah, some might say. What else? What's going on?
Oh, I'm telling you, you're just right. So Ardy's telling Amy, "You're so strong. You know, you're a great person. Don't worry about it." And then on Tuesday, he's getting ready. Oh, this is still the same day, and he's gonna go home. And she says, "Oh no, stay." And he comes back the next day, and he's about to say that he loves her. We think
it looks
some
like
kind of confession.
He's telling
but Tracy
her,
comes and kills the mood.
He's saying, "Amy, you're great. Everybody loves you," and
and me too. But then,
I hope next week. Come on,
just
next
get on
week,
with it.
Let's get on with it, you two.
So Wednesday,
Get
this
it
is
on.
when Steve tells Amy that he missed a call because he was accidentally with Leanne, and she's like, "Oh, accidentally how?"
Not happy with that.
And he's
is
also
she?
lied to the police, and this is when she kind of tells him.
Yeah. So I'm glad that Amy turned out okay. I don't know whether that story was necessarily needed. Well, I suppose it had to be, didn't it? Because she went missing and they had no choice but to have her turn up the next day, unless they were going to have her take like 2 days to walk back from, where was it? Wilmslow?
That's what you've written down.
Yeah. And
now,
then
this was a treat for the Smaller fans.
there was a bit of the Carla story that just snuck in on Wednesday.
Kidney pudding.
We haven't seen a whole lot of them for a couple of weeks, have we? And,
No.
and Carla's still doing a dialysis machine, and she's blobbing about on the sofa, being waited on hand and foot by the lovely Lisa. And we find out that the clinic can apparently run the tests on Rob tomorrow to find out whether his kidney is viable for donation. So she's going to go up to the prison later and let him know. She's feeling kind of hopeful, and Lisa says, "Look, that's fine. You go for it, and I'll get you the money." So is all the money stuff sorted?
I don't
now?
understand this,
I know
because the
Betsy-
last we heard, Betsy was going to give her £40,000.
I thought it was 50.
Well, if you're good at maths, which I am obviously not, you'll still know Even
That's
I know
less than the
it's
amount
less
that's
than the
needed.
amount she needs.
Has she given up on getting the money off of Jenny?
We'll never know, because Coronation Street likes to do these things and then just drop them out of nowhere.
I know they might come back. Anyway.
I know, but I don't trust them. This is what happens when they drop stories. I don't trust they're going to pick them back up again.
No, I think that.
All right, well,
Rob at the hospital. There's been enough
He
hospital
wishes.
scenes. He can't go to the hospital. He finds out. Basically, he finds out that he can get his test done, and he's all thrilled because clearly he's got some kind of amazing escape plan here. But it's gets cold water poured over it when Carla says that
they just do it in the prison.
They've got to do it in the prison, and he was like, going, "Oh, I was looking forward to a day out." And Carla tells Lisa that Rob seemed eager to get things moving, though didn't seem too over the moon about doing the test in prison. And Lisa's a little bit suspicious of him there because she knows she's in a soap. And
so she then goes and investigates and asks the prison, "Is this guy a dodgy bloke or
does
what? Does he
kind of sit there thinking, "I'm planning an escape"?
Does he hoard sharpened teaspoons and make suspicious?
Has anyone checked behind the poster in his cell to see if there's a tunnel out through the sewers? Because and the prison's like, no, model prisoner. Genuinely, he goes to church every Sunday. But at the end of the episode, we see him pacing the floor of his cell. And he's like going,
well, he gets a phone out of the
kettle.
kettle.
He's got a phone out of the kettle, isn't he? Which is...
That's where I put mine at night. In case my daughter's ringing me and I don't want to hear
he's saying, it's me, we're going to need plan B. So clearly he's got someone on the outside here who was ready to spring him from hospital. But not going to get the chance because he's getting his test done in prison.
I never really thought about it, but he would have been incredibly naive to have assumed that he was a match and then wait to be taken in to have his kidney removed to then escape.
Yeah, you're right. It was either first time or nothing, really, wasn't it? Because I wondered whether, he was going to scope out the hospital when he was getting the test done.
I think his plan... What do you think his escape plan is?
I don't know, just leg it.
I think...
He's a simple man.
I think he's going to go in. He's going to get in his, in his bed, but I think he's going to sneak his, some civvy clothes in, right? Dress up as a doctor, be really good at doing it. Like this whole time, he's been learning how to be a doctor. Pretends to be a doctor for a week, integrates himself, and then just walks straight out the front door.
Well, we'll never find out because he ain't going to the hospital, is he? He's about the only person on Coronation Street that isn't going to the hospital.
People are dying to get in.
I'm kind. Do you think he will actually successfully escape and we'll have a story of him on the run, or is he going to be caught?
Otherwise, it's a big.
It is a bit of a letdown if he doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of letdowns, shall we tie this discussion up and give it a score for the week? It's a really tricky one for me to score. Because there was an awful lot where I was like going, oh, come on, let's speed up. The fire wasn't perfect for me. There was an awful lot of hospital and prison and police station scenes on Wednesday, which I didn't love. But, there had a big fire and an explosion and...
Peril. There was mystery. There was accusations.
There wasn't much mystery.
There was mystery.
I wasn't feeling mystified.
Oh, do you know what?
I was interested in
I hope it isn't Max now.
I know. I've put it out there.
Smug.
Usually when I'm so utterly convinced, it turns out that I'm wrong. I think...
What are you going to give it? Who's your character of the week?
I think I'm going to be very, very generous and give it 4 bin bags of Craig Tinker's Y-fronts out of 5.
Really? I thought you would have gone for 3.5.
I know. It's just the thrill of the stunt. Even if the stunt didn't quite work for me, it just bumps it up slightly into that 4 category.
I really thought they tried something and didn't maybe pull it off 100%, but I appreciate them doing something new with, something that feels sadly like a bit a fire is kind of exciting, but we've had loads of fires, so they did something a bit different. It maybe didn't work. I liked that it turned into a mystery. I don't like that. I think we know it was Max, but I'm still gonna also give it 4.
Right.
I'm going to give it 4 boxes of chicken for a dog that's going to do a video instead of a seance.
Okay. I don't know. There's not anybody obvious character of the week, really.
Abby?
Why?
Or Leanne?
Why?
No, not Leanne. Abby.
You've given it to Leanne the last few weeks.
I think Abby did a really good job.
I'm just getting
her screaming.
I'm getting a bit tired of all her drama. There's David maybe, but there weren't very many laudable characters.
David was being an absolute dip, wasn't he? Sarah, does she deserve it for just forcing her terrible birthday party on everybody?
I don't know. Is it Jenny for?
Do you think maybe
for putting together the collection and being a stand-up citizen?
Oh yeah, she's nice. Do you think maybe Bethany convinced Sarah that in London it's all the rage to have fondant fancies and a ventriloquist at your birthday party, and
Maybe
she's going to write an article about the top 5 things at your 38th birthday party for Trend to Send. I'm giving it to Abby.
You're giving it to Abby, are you?
Yeah, because she, I really thought she did a great performance, especially at the end of the week when she was being interviewed by Swain. I thought she was great.
She was good.
And also when she was in the car with Alfie and then Roy catches her and she's just like
okay. I'm gonna give it to Shona just because I love Shona and she's very, very brave and went upstairs even though it's probably not the bravest not the cleverest thing to do, but she did worry that Lily was up there.
I do think
go on.
I do think that David's not bothered about Lily as much as Max and Shona seem to like her. Because they would they went upstairs to look for Lily. I don't think anyone else would bother.
I think that I enjoyed Shona just being a bit knocked off and wanting to know what was going on, and I thought I liked the scene where the camera was pulling into her and then pulled out. She was brave. I'll give it to Shona.
I tell you what,
she was pretty great.
If I had hair as beautiful as Shona, I wouldn't risk it in a fire. She'll get frazzled ends.
True. That is very true. Right, should we call this closed?
Let's just get on with it.
Call this discussion to a close now. I don't like the fact that it was a bit of a moan fest, but we still gave it a 4 at the end of the day. Especially because I've been so positive I felt in general about Coronation Street over the past few weeks, and just didn't quite do it for me. But I'm glad other people liked it. Some other people liked it.
No, some people hated it.
Some people hated it, yeah.